It's too late, she declared urgently to the assembled heroes. Thorn Nightshade shifted nervously beside Mira, her wildcat form shimmering ominously under the starlit sky. Mira's heart raced as she felt an ancient power stirring beneath her feet, causing the stones around them to vibrate ominously. "We must uncover what lies hidden here before it consumes us all," Mira declared urgently. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, water swirling around her staff like living tendrils. Mira Silversong's eyes widened as visions of dark magic swirling beneath the ancient stones filled her mind. "We must delve deeper into these ruins," she declared urgently. Thorn Nightshade shifted from shadow to wildcat form, her fur shimmering with latent power. "The time for stealth has passed. We fight now or never." Mira's heart raced as she felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. "We can't afford to hesitate," she declared firmly, her voice echoing through the stone circle. Thorn Nightshade shifted uneasily beside her, sensing a profound darkness encroaching upon their world. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, her eyes fixed on the horizon as storm clouds gathered ominously. Mira Silversong felt a surge of power ripple through her dreams as she stood by the ancient stones, her ethereal glow casting eerie shadows around her. "We must uncover what lies beneath these ruins before it's too late," she declared urgently to Thorn Nightshade, who shifted restlessly beside her, sensing an imminent threat. Soraya Stormweaver nodded grimly from a distance, her stormy presence commanding respect. Mira Silversong's eyes flickered with a mix of fear and determination as she gazed at the ancient stones before her. "We must uncover what lies beneath these ruins if we are to prevent the darkness from spreading," she declared, her voice steady yet trembling slightly. Thorn Nightshade shifted uneasily beside her, her wildcat form shimmering ominously. Mira Silversong's eyes glowed as she reached out towards a swirling vortex of arcane energy, her fingers trembling with the weight of impending decisions. "We must unravel this prophecy before it consumes us all," Mira declared, her voice resolute yet tinged with uncertainty. Thorn Nightshade shifted restlessly beside her, her wildcat form shimmering and flickering as she sensed ancient powers stirring beneath their feet. Mira Silversong's eyes widened as she gazed into the swirling energies of prophecy, her dreams revealing dark shadows looming on the horizon. "We must act now before it's too late," she declared urgently to the assembled heroes. Thorn Nightshade shifted uneasily beside her, sensing an ancient power awakening beneath their feet. Mira Silversong's eyes glowed faintly as she gazed at the ancient stones, her mind racing with visions of impending doom. "The Shadowkin are plotting a rebellion," Thorn Nightshade hissed from the shadows, her wildcat form shimmering ominously. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, water swirling around her staff like living tendrils. Mira Silversong's eyes widened as she caught a glimpse of the ancient runes glowing beneath her feet, hinting at secrets long buried. "We must delve deeper into these ruins," she declared to Thorn Nightshade and Elysia Stormheart. "The ley lines converge here, amplifying any magic." Mira Silversong stood at the center of the ancient stone circle, her eyes alight with a soft glow as she contemplated the weight of their impending mission. "The shadows grow darker," Thorn Nightshade murmured from beside Mira, her wildcat form shimmering ominously in the moonlight. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, water swirling around her staff like living tendrils. Mira Silversong felt a heavy weight on her shoulders as she gazed into the starlit sky, her ethereal glow flickering with uncertainty. "We must uncover what lies beneath these ruins before it's too late," she declared resolutely to the assembled heroes. Thorn Nightshade shifted uneasily beside her, her wildcat form shimmering ominously in the moonlight. Mira Silversong's eyes widened as visions of impending doom swirled within her mind, a mix of hope and dread clashing within her heart. "We must act now before it's too late," she declared urgently, seeking guidance from the ancient stones that pulsed with arcane energy beneath their feet. Thorn Nightshade shifted uneasily beside Mira, sensing an ominous presence lurking just beyond the ruins. Mira Silversong's eyes widened as she felt a surge of arcane energy coursing through her, warning her of impending danger. "We must hurry," she urged, glancing nervously around at the gathering storm clouds. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, her staff crackling with electrical charges. Mira Silversong's heart raced as she felt the weight of prophecy bearing down on her. Every decision could alter the fate of their world. "We must find out what these dark forces intend," Mira declared firmly, turning to Thorn Nightshade for information on the Shadowkin Rebellion. Talos Ironclaw swooped in, his eagle's keen eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of approaching danger. Mira Silversong felt a chill run down her spine as she gazed into the ancient stones, her visions revealing an impending doom. "We must act now," Elysia Stormheart declared firmly, water swirling around her staff like living tendrils. Thorn Nightshade shifted uneasily beside Mira, sensing the awakening of dark powers beneath their feet. Mira Silversong felt a cold shiver run down her spine as she gazed into the swirling arcane energies around them. "We must act now before darkness consumes us all," she declared firmly to the assembled heroes. Aldoran Sunshadow's eyes glowed faintly, his presence both comforting and foreboding. Mira Silversong's eyes flashed with a mix of fear and determination as she gazed into the swirling arcane energies around her. "We must unite our powers if we are to face this darkness," she declared resolutely. Thorn Nightshade shifted restlessly, her wildcat form shimmering ominously in the moonlight. Mira Silversong felt a shiver run down her spine as she gazed into the swirling energies of an ancient prophecy, her voice trembling slightly. "The shadows are closing in." Thorn Nightshade shifted from human to wildcat form, her eyes glowing with latent power, while Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously. Mira Silversong's eyes fluttered closed as she delved into the swirling mists of her dreamscape, seeking clarity amidst the chaos. "The ley lines are pulsing with an ancient power," Aldoran Sunshadow intoned, his voice echoing like a distant echo of the past. Thorn Nightshade shifted uneasily beside Mira, sensing an impending threat that sent shivers down her spine. Mira Silversong's eyes widened as visions of ancient prophecies swirled within her mind, foretelling an impending cataclysm. "We must unite our powers to thwart this darkness," she declared fervently, her voice echoing through the stone circle. Thorn Nightshade shifted into her wildcat form, readying herself for battle as shadows danced around her. Mira Silversong's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light as she surveyed the gathering heroes around her, their diverse powers a testament to the realm's complexity. "We must unite our strengths if we are to face the impending darkness," Mira declared resolutely, her voice carrying the weight of her prophetic visions. Thorn Nightshade shifted uneasily beside her, her wildcat form shimmering in the starlight. Mir Silversong's eyes flared with an ethereal glow as she gazed into the heart of the ruins, sensing dark forces stirring beneath her feet. "We must act now to prevent ancient evils from awakening," she declared urgently. Thorn Nightshade shifted silently beside her, blending seamlessly into the shadows and ready for action. Mira's eyes widened as visions of ancient evils danced before her mind's eye, Aldoran Sunshadow standing beside her, his presence a calming blend of light and shadow. Thorn Nightshade shifted into her wildcat form, sensing the awakening of an ancient power deep within the earth. "We must act now," Elysia Stormheart declared sullenly, her water-entwined staff glowing faintly. Mira Silversong's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light as she gazed into the swirling energies of prophecy. "The time has come for us to face our greatest fears," she declared solemnly. Thorn Nightshade shifted restlessly beside her, her wildcat form shimmering ominously in the moonlight. Mira Silversong's eyes glowed faintly as she gazed into the swirling arcane energies, her mind racing with visions of impending doom. "We must act now," she declared urgently to the assembled heroes. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly beside her, water swirling around her staff like living tendrils. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly over the ancient stones as she spoke of a prophecy woven with light. "The path ahead is shrouded, but our combined strengths may be the key to unraveling it." Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, water swirling around her staff like an entwined serpent, commanding the elements to heed her call. Thorn Nightshade was barely visible in the shadows, his presence a silent promise of deadly precision. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly across the ancient stones as she began her incantation under the starlit sky, her ethereal glow casting a gentle light around them. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff entwined with water that rippled and shimmered in the moonlight, while Thorn Nightshade remained hidden within the shadows, his presence felt but unseen. "We must uncover what lies beneath these stones," Mira said, her voice filled with a sense of urgency. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the ancient stones as she spoke of prophecy and hidden truths, her ethereal glow casting long shadows across the desolate wasteland. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, staff entwined with water, ready to command nature's fury if needed, while Thorn Nightshade observed from within the shadows, his presence both mysterious and ominous. "We must find the ley lines," Mira declared, her voice filled with conviction as the group prepared for their perilous journey ahead. Mira Silversong's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light as she whispered, "The stones hold secrets we must uncover." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly beside her, water swirling around her staff like a living serpent. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, blending in seamlessly while watching every move. Mira Silversong's eyes gleamed with an ethereal light as she gazed at the ancient stones, her voice resonating softly. "These stones hold secrets of old. Let us tread carefully." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with water and wind magic. Thorn Nightshade remained silent in the shadows, his presence a constant reminder of their perilous journey. Mira Silversong's eyes gleamed with a soft, ethereal light as she strummed her lyre, weaving an enchanting melody into the air around them. "We must move swiftly," Thorn Nightshade whispered from the shadows, his voice barely audible yet unmistakably urgent. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, clutching her water-entwined staff tightly. The moonlight cast an eerie glow on the ancient stones as Mira Silversong's ethereal voice filled the air with melodies of light and hope. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff swirling with water and wind, while Thorn Nightshade slipped silently into the shadows like a wraith. "We must be wary," whispered Thorn, his eyes scanning the darkness for potential threats. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the silence like a silver blade, her words resonating with an ethereal glow as she spoke. "We stand at a crossroads, where prophecy whispers of darkness and light." Thorn Nightshade remained silent, his presence a shadow that could strike or retreat without warning. Elysia Stormheart, standing beside Mira, felt the weight of responsibility in the air, her eyes reflecting the storm brewing within her soul. Mira Silversong gazed at the ancient stones with a sense of awe, her ethereal glow casting intricate patterns around her. "The prophecy speaks of unity among those who wield the elements," she whispered to herself, as Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly beside her, her staff crackling with water magic. Nearby, Thorn Nightshade moved silently, his presence both threatening and enigmatic. Mira Silversong gazed at the ancient stones with a wistful smile, her ethereal glow casting an otherworldly light upon them. "Prophecies speak of this moment," she whispered to herself as Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, her staff crackling with water magic. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence both ominous and protective. Mira Silversong's voice resonated across the ancient stones, her light weaving through the gathering heroes like a gentle breeze. "We must uncover the secrets of this forgotten place before the shadows consume it entirely," she declared with unwavering certainty. Thorn Nightshade stood silently beside her, his presence as enigmatic and dangerous as ever, blending into the darkness but never disappearing completely. Mira Silversong's light shimmered softly as she adjusted her lyre beside ancient stones under the starlit sky. "The time has come," Elysia Stormheart declared solemnly, gripping her staff tightly as waves of water swirled around her feet. Thorn Nightshade moved silently between them, his form barely visible in the shadows. Mira Silversong's voice carried across the silent wasteland as she began to sing a soothing melody, her ethereal glow brightening with each note. "The stones whisper secrets of old," Thorn Nightshade murmured from the shadows, his eyes sharp and alert. Elysia Stormheart nodded in agreement, feeling the power coursing through her staff. Mira Silversong's eyes sparkled with an ethereal light as she gazed at the ancient stones, her voice carrying a melody of prophecy. "These stones hold the key to our destiny." Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside her, blending into the shadows like a ghost from another realm. Elysia Stormheart stood resolute, water swirling around her staff, creating a soothing breeze that washed over the group. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the night air as she began speaking in a melodic tone, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her water-entwined staff humming with power, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows around them. "The time has come for us to face our greatest challenges," Mira declared. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the ancient stones, her words weaving a tapestry of light and hope. "Our journey begins here, under the watchful eyes of the stars." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with water and wind as she prepared to harness the elements for their protection. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence a shadowy guardian against unseen threats. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the starlit wasteland as she began weaving a song of light and hope, her ethereal glow dancing around her like an aurora borealis. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, water swirling within her staff and wind rustling her hair, ready to protect their gathering from any threats that might arise. Thorn Nightshade moved silently through the shadows, his presence a stark contrast to Mira's radiant light and Elysia's fluid grace. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the ancient stones as she sang a melody of light, her ethereal glow casting dancing shadows around them. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside Elysia Stormheart, who wielded her staff with water entwined tightly around it, while Talos Ironclaw circled overhead on his mighty eagle, wings beating against the starlit sky. "We must find the ley lines and follow them to the sacred sites," Soraya Stormweaver stated, her voice commanding and full of conviction. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the silence as she gazed at the ancient stones, her light flickering softly. "We stand on a threshold between worlds, where our destinies intertwine." Thorn Nightshade remained silent, his presence a whisper of shadow blending seamlessly into the night. Elysia Stormheart held her water-entwined staff close, eyes scanning the horizon for signs of danger. Mira Silversong's eyes glowed with an ethereal light as she gazed at the ancient stones, her fingers plucking a haunting melody from her lyre. "These stones hold more than just power, they carry echoes of forgotten times," she whispered, her voice barely above a murmur but clear and resonant. Elysia Stormheart stood beside Mira, water swirling around her staff as she felt the ley lines coursing beneath their feet. Mira Silversong's voice drifted across the ancient stones as she sang softly under the starlit sky, her ethereal glow illuminating a circle around her. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her eyes scanning the horizon as water-entwined staff toiled gracefully in her hands. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence almost imperceptible yet ever watchful. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the silent wasteland as she sang a haunting melody, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones around which the heroes had gathered. "The stars above guide our path," she whispered, her eyes reflecting the constellations. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with water and wind, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminated her face as she spoke softly, the ancient stones whisper of prophecies yet unfulfilled. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with water and wind magic. Thorn Nightshade stood silently beside them, his presence a chilling reminder of the shadowy dangers that lurked beyond the circle of light. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly over the ancient stones, her ethereal glow casting a serene light on the gathered heroes. "We must unite our powers against the coming darkness," she said with unwavering conviction. Elysia Stormheart nodded, her staff crackling with water and wind as she prepared to unleash her elemental fury. Mira Silversong's voice echoed across the ancient stones as she began her incantation, her ethereal glow casting long shadows over Thorn Nightshade, who stood silently beside her, his presence both protective and mysterious. Elysia Stormheart, with her staff entwined in water and wind, approached Soraya Stormweaver, their combined powers rippling through the air like a soothing melody. Mira Silversong's eyes sparkled with an ethereal light as she sang softly to herself, her voice weaving a spell of enchantment around the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff entwined with swirling water that danced to her every command, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence barely noticeable, yet ever present. Mira Silversong hummed softly as she cast a spell, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones, around which the heroes had gathered under the starlit sky. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, water spiraling around her staff, while Thorn Nightshade moved silently through the shadows, his presence both eerie and commanding respect. Soraya Stormweaver's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, as she prepared to weave a spell that would alter fate itself. Mira Silversong's voice carried through the desolate wasteland, her ethereal glow casting a warm light upon the ancient stones as she spoke of unity and hope. "We stand together now, bound by fate and destiny," Elysia Stormheart echoed, her staff twirling water in intricate patterns around her. Thorn Nightshade remained silent, his presence like a shadow moving unseen between the heroes. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the ancient stones as she spoke. "The prophecy foretells of a convergence at this very spot, where our fates intertwine." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly beside her, feeling the wind stir to match Mira's words. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his presence both enigmatic and foreboding. The moonlight bathed the ancient stones in a silvery glow as Mira Silversong's ethereal voice filled the air, her light dancing around the gathered heroes. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, water swirling around her staff like living serpents, while Thorn Nightshade moved with ghost-like fluidity into the shadows. "What secrets do these stones hold?" Soraya Stormweaver mused aloud, her eyes narrowing as she gazed at the ancient markings. Mira Silversong's eyes shone like stars as she hummed a melody that seemed to weave light around her companions, drawing them closer together under the moonlit sky. "We must tread carefully," Elysia Stormheart warned, water swirling at her command while wind whispered secrets through the ancient stones. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence both reassuring and ominous. Mira Silversong's eyes sparkled with an ethereal glow as she gazed at the ancient stones, her fingers plucking at a lyre unseen by mortal eyes. "These stones whisper of forgotten ages," Mira murmured softly, her voice echoing through the desolate wasteland under the starlit sky. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, water swirling around her staff as she listened intently to Mira's words. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the starlit wasteland as she sang a melody of light, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones at their feet. "We must unite our powers if we are to uncover the secrets hidden here," Elysia Stormheart declared, her staff crackling with water and wind magic, casting ripples across the barren landscape. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his presence a silent warning of the dangers lurking unseen. Mira Silversong's voice carried across the ancient stones, her ethereal glow casting a warm light on the gathered heroes. "We must unite our strengths if we are to face the darkness looming over us," she declared. Thorn Nightshade nodded silently from the shadows, his presence both reassuring and foreboding. Mira Silversong's luminous form seemed almost too delicate for the harsh reality of the ancient stones we stood beside. Her eyes held a depth beyond mere wonder as she whispered, "Here lies the key to our future." Thorn Nightshade moved silently from shadow to shadow, his presence an ominous warning against complacency. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with water and wind magic, her determination evident in every gesture. Mira Silversong's luminous glow illuminated the ancient stones as she began to play a haunting melody. "Can you feel it?" Thorn Nightshade whispered, his voice barely audible, even in the silence of night, eyes fixed on the shadows that seemed to shift with his presence. Soraya Stormweaver stood solemnly beside Elysia Stormheart, her hands weaving intricate patterns in the air as she muttered incantations under her breath. Mira Silversong's voice pierced the night air, her light weaving through the dark like a shimmering ribbon of hope. We must gather our courage tonight, for tomorrow holds trials unseen. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, water droplets clinging to the leaves around them as if in harmony with her emotions. Thorn Nightshade remained silent, his presence a testament to the shadows that defined him. Mira Silversong's light flickered softly as she gazed into the distance, her ethereal voice whispering a prophecy of an impending storm. Thorn Nightshade shifted beside her, his presence a silent reminder of the shadows that lurk just beyond the edge of sight. Soraya Stormweaver's eyes gleamed with determination as she adjusted her staff, feeling the currents of fate swirling around them. The night air was thick with anticipation as Mira Silversong sang softly under the starlit sky, her ethereal glow casting a serene light over the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her water-entwined staff reflecting the moon's silver beams, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows like an echo of the past. "We must gather all our courage," Mira whispered to the group, "for what lies ahead is neither light nor dark, but a tapestry woven from both." Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland as she spoke of ancient prophecies, her ethereal glow casting a soft light on the gathered heroes. "Stones hold the key to our destiny," Elysia Stormheart said with conviction, water swirling around her staff like a living entity. Thorn Nightshade remained silent and shadowy, his presence alone speaking volumes. The moon hung low over the desolate wasteland as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminated her companions gathered around ancient stones, their varied powers intertwining beneath the starlit sky. "We must find the ley lines," Soraya Stormweaver declared, her voice commanding respect from the group. Thorn Nightshade moved silently through shadows, blending into the darkness like a phantom. Mira Silversong's eyes glowed faintly as she watched Thorn Nightshade slip into the shadows like a ghost, her fingers plucking at the strings of an invisible harp, weaving a melody of light and darkness. "We must find the ley line nexus before the dark forces do," Elysia Stormheart declared, her voice strong and clear despite the chill in the air. Kayla Shadowmoon leaned against an ancient stone, his eyes reflecting both despair and determination. Stars twinkled above as Mira Silversong sang a haunting melody, her voice mingling with the wind. "We must find the hidden valley before the blight serpents do," Thorn Nightshade muttered, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, water swirling around her hands as she prepared to unleash the elements. The night was alive with the hum of ancient magic as Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly around the gathering stones, her light flickering like a beacon of hope for all present. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff entwined with water that dripped gently onto the ground in a rhythmic pattern, while Thorn Nightshade remained ever vigilant, blending seamlessly into the shadows. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly yet clearly as she sang a song of light, her words weaving around the ancient stones like ethereal threads. "We stand at a crossroads where destiny intertwines with fate," Thorn Nightshade muttered, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. Elysia Stormheart nodded in agreement, water swirling around her hands as she prepared for any storm that might come their way. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the silent wasteland as she began, "We stand on the brink of destiny. Our choices here will shape the future." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with elemental power. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence a stark contrast to the vibrant magic swirling around the others. The wind howled through the desolate wasteland, but it was a calmness amidst chaos as Mira Silversong sang softly, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones around which the group had gathered. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside Elysia Stormheart, who held her water-entwined staff with an air of serene power. "We must act now," she whispered to him, her eyes reflecting a storm brewing within. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly across the barren wasteland, as she began to play a haunting melody on her lyre. "We must find the ley lines here and use them to our advantage." Elysia Stormheart nodded, gripping the water-entwined staff tightly. "The winds are shifting. We should move quickly before they change again." Thorn Nightshade's eyes narrowed as he scanned their surroundings from the shadows, silently gauging each member's readiness for battle. The night air was thick with tension as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow flickered hesitantly, her voice soft yet commanding. "We must proceed with caution." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff swirling with water as she whispered to the wind, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows beside them. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow flickered as she hummed a tune that seemed to resonate with the ancient stones, while Thorn Nightshade silently observed from the shadows, his presence both haunting and protective. "We must uncover what lies beneath these stones," Elysia Stormheart declared, her eyes reflecting determination and resolve. Her voice carried a hint of wind and water, as if she could summon storms at will. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the crisp night air as she addressed her companions. "We gather here tonight under the guidance of ancient prophecies, for our fates are intertwined with this place." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly beside Mira, her water-entwined staff gleaming faintly in the moonlight. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, his eyes never leaving the group. The night was filled with the whispers of ancient spirits as Mira Silversong began to sing a song of light, her voice echoing through the barren wasteland. "We must find the source of this darkness," Thorn Nightshade growled from the shadows, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of trouble. Soraya Stormweaver nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with energy as she prepared spells to protect the group. The night air was thick with tension as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminated the ancient stones scattered across the desolate wasteland. "We must act now," Thorn Nightshade murmured, his shadowy form barely discernible against the darkness. Soraya Stormweaver nodded solemnly, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames of Kalar Nightblaze. The moonlight bathed the ancient stones, casting long shadows as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow mingled with Elysia Stormheart's water-entwined staff. Thorn Nightshade moved like a wraith among them, his presence both elusive and foreboding. "We must act now," Soraya Stormweaver declared firmly, her eyes reflecting the urgency of their mission. The moon cast an eerie glow over the ancient stones, as Mira Silversong's ethereal light illuminated the group's faces with a soft, silvery sheen. "We must unite our powers to unravel this prophecy," Elysia Stormheart declared, her voice steady and commanding as water entwined around her staff. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence like a whisper in the night breeze. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow cast a tranquil light over the desolate wasteland as she hummed a melody, her voice weaving into the night air like silk. "We must be ready for whatever lies ahead," Thorn Nightshade muttered from the shadows, his eyes scanning every corner of the gathering site for potential threats. Elysia Stormheart stood with her water-entwined staff, commanding respect and calm through her presence. The wind howled mournfully through the desolate wasteland as the stars above flickered with a hint of ancient wisdom. "This place resonates with power," Mira Silversong whispered, her ethereal glow casting intricate patterns on the ground. Thorn Nightshade nodded silently, blending into the shadows as if he was one with them. Under a crescent moon, Mira Silversong's ethereal glow flickered gently as she adjusted her harp strings, preparing to weave an ancient melody. The stones hold power beyond measure, Elysia Stormheart declared, water droplets clinging to the leaves of her staff. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his presence a whisper among the night breezes. The wasteland under the starlit sky seemed an unlikely meeting ground for such extraordinary individuals, yet there they stood, a tableau of power and enigma. "This must be where the lie lines converge," Mira Silversong whispered, her ethereal glow casting dancing shadows around her feet. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, water swirling around her staff like an obedient serpent. Mira Silversong's eyes twinkled with the reflected light of distant stars as she strummed a haunting melody on her lyre, weaving an ethereal glow around them all. "We stand at a crossroads," Thorn Nightshade intoned quietly from within his shadowy veil, his voice barely audible yet resonant with authority. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, the water in her staff rippling as if sensing her tension and resolve. Mira Silversong's voice carried over the silent wasteland as she began to play a haunting melody on her lyre, the soft glow of her ethereal form illuminating the ancient stones around them. "The stars guide us tonight," she whispered, her eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of trouble. Elysia Stormheart nodded in agreement, water swirling around her staff like liquid silver. Mira Silversong's light flickered softly as she adjusted her lyre under the starlit sky, her voice mingling with the whispers of ancient stones. "Our path is clear, but fraught with challenges," Elysia Stormheart declared, gripping her water-entwined staff firmly. Thorn Nightshade melted into shadows beside them, his presence a silent reminder of the dangers ahead. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow seemed to illuminate the ancient stones with a soft light as she whispered to the wind, "Here we stand on sacred ground, where our destinies converge." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with water and air currents, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks in every corner. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly across the ancient stones as she spoke of the prophecy foretelling our convergence here tonight. "We are but threads in a larger tapestry, each with a unique pattern." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with water and wind magic. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, his presence a whisper of impending action. The moonlight bathed the ancient stones in a silvery glow as Mira Silversong's light wove intricate patterns around her. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows beside her, while Talos Ironclaw circled overhead on his mighty eagle. "We must be cautious," Elysia Stormheart said, gripping her water-entwined staff tightly. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the silence like a whisper of wind, her words ringing with an ethereal clarity. "Our paths have converged here for a reason, one we must unravel." Elysia Stormheart nodded, her staff swirling with water as she added, "We carry the weight of prophecy, and must act now to prevent the impending doom that looms over us all." Thorn Nightshade remained silent, his presence in the shadows a testament to his lurking doubts and hidden resolve. Mira Silversong's light shimmered softly as she spoke. "The prophecy speaks of a convergence, but it does not specify which path we must take." Elysia Stormheart nodded, her eyes reflecting determination, while Thorn Nightshade remained silent, his presence a chilling reminder of the shadows that lurked in their world. Draven Frostborn's icy touch could be felt as he added, "We cannot afford to be divided." Mira Silversong's voice broke the silence as she spoke of an ancient prophecy etched into the stones beneath them. "This gathering marks the beginning of our quest to unravel the secrets hidden within these ruins." Thorn Nightshade stood silently, his shadowy form barely visible against the night sky. Draven Frostborn, towering over the group with his icy presence, added gravely, "We must be prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead." Mira Silversong's ethereal glow flickered as she strummed her lyre, weaving a melody of light and hope into the desolate wasteland. "The stones hold secrets," she murmured, her voice echoing softly among the ancient rocks. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her eyes reflecting the swirling mists that danced around her staff. Mira Silversong's light shimmered as she looked around at her companions gathered under a starlit sky, her ethereal glow casting an almost musical hum through the air. "We must move quickly, Thorn Nightshade," murmured from the shadows. His voice barely more than a whisper, yet unmistakably urgent. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, water swirling in her staff, reflecting the determination and resolve of each hero present. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the night air as she began to play her harp, light dancing around her fingers like a living entity. "We stand on the cusp of destiny," she declared, her eyes glowing with an inner fire. Elysia Stormheart nodded in agreement, water swirling in her staff as if it were alive. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly as she spoke. "The stones whisper of an ancient prophecy. Those who stand together can face what lies ahead." Thorn Nightshade listened intently from the shadows, his presence a silent testament to his vigilance and loyalty. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her eyes reflecting the storm brewing inside her. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly as she sang under the starlit sky, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones around which the heroes had gathered. "The time has come for us to unite our powers against the impending darkness," Elysia Stormheart declared, gripping her water-entwined staff with resolve. Thorn Nightshade remained silent and hidden in the shadows, his presence a testament to the treacherous path ahead. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow casts a warm light over the desolate wasteland as she prepares to speak, her voice echoing with the power of song. Thorn Nightshade stands silently beside her, his presence barely noticeable even under the starlit sky. Soraya Stormweaver's eyes narrow thoughtfully, fingers tracing the intricate patterns on her staff. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland as she spoke softly. "We are not just gatherers of light. We are guardians of hope." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with water and wind. Thorn Nightshade remained silent in the shadows, his presence a reminder of the darkness they must confront. Mira Silversong's voice carried through the starlit wasteland like a soothing melody. "We are not just travelers bound by fate. We are guardians of an ancient prophecy." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with water magic as she added, "Our journey may be fraught with peril, but it is also our destiny to safeguard the balance of this world." Thorn Nightshade remained silent in the shadows, his eyes gleaming faintly with a resolve only he could see. Mira Silversong's eyes shimmered with light as she gazed into the starlit sky, her ethereal glow casting a serene aura over the group huddled around ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, staff entwined with water that glimmered in the moonlight, and Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence both haunting and protective. "We must act now," Mira whispered, her voice carrying a sense of urgency through the silent wasteland. The wasteland under the starlit sky felt like a prelude to an epic struggle, with ancient stones whispering secrets of ages past. "We stand on sacred ground," Mira Silversong said softly, her ethereal glow casting shadows around the gathered heroes. Elysia Stormheart tightened her grip on the water-entwined staff, sensing the brewing storm within and without. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the starlit silence as she spoke, her ethereal glow illuminating a path forward. We stand at the edge of the unknown, but together our light can guide us. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside her, his presence both a warning and a reassurance. Nearby, Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with energy, preparing for whatever lay ahead. Mira Silversong's eyes glowed softly as she gazed at the ancient stones, her ethereal presence a beacon of hope amidst the desolation. "We must find the truth hidden here," Elysia Stormheart declared, her voice carrying like distant thunder across the wasteland. Thorn Nightshade remained silent in the shadows, his presence an ominous reminder of the dangers they faced. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland as she sang a melody that seemed to calm even the wind itself. "We must find the ley line nexus," Mira said, her eyes glinting with an ethereal light. Elysia Stormheart nodded, water swirling around her staff like a tempest waiting to be unleashed. The wind whispered secrets as Elysia Stormheart gazed into the horizon, her eyes reflecting the storm brewing within her soul. "We must find the ley line nexus," she declared, her voice carrying across the wasteland with authority. Nearby, Mira Silversong hummed a soothing melody that seemed to calm even the most turbulent spirits. Mira Silversong hummed a soft melody as she gazed at the ancient stones, her ethereal glow casting intricate patterns on the ground beneath their feet. Thorn Nightshade stood silently beside her, his presence both menacing and protective, while Elysia Stormheart's eyes flickered with lightning as she held her water-entwined staff close. The night air was thick with anticipation, as Mira Silversong's light flickered gently, illuminating the ancient stones where our group had gathered. "We stand on the brink of a great upheaval," Elysia Stormheart declared, her voice cutting through the darkness like a gale-force wind. Thorn Nightshade shifted silently in the shadows, his presence an unsettling reminder of the dangers lurking just beyond sight. The ancient stones glowed faintly under the starlit sky as Mira Silversong said, "We must unite our powers if we are to unravel the mysteries ahead." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff swirling with water that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows beside them, his presence barely perceptible, yet ever present. The moonlight cast eerie shadows as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminated the ancient stones, her voice weaving a melody of prophecy and warning. "Our fates are entwined by an unseen thread," she intoned softly, her eyes scanning the group for any sign of unease or defiance. Elysia Stormheart nodded gravely, her staff crackling with water and wind as she prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The crescent moon cast eerie shadows across the barren wasteland as Mira Silversong whispered a melody of light, illuminating the gathered heroes with her ethereal glow. "We must find the ley lines that connect to the forgotten city," she murmured, her voice barely audible, yet clear in every soul present. Elysia Stormheart nodded gravely, water swirling around her staff as she prepared for the journey ahead. "As I stand beneath the starlit sky, my ethereal light casts an otherworldly glow over the ancient stones where our unlikely band gathers. We are but fragments of a whole," Mira Silversong intoned softly, her voice carrying like whispers through the night. Shadows dance around Thorn Nightshade as he contemplates his next move, while Elysia Stormheart's eyes gleam with determination. The moonlight bathed the ancient stones as Mira Silversong hummed a soft melody, her ethereal glow casting flickering shadows around them. Thorn Nightshade moved silently through the group, his presence both ominous and comforting, a reminder of the darkness lurking just beyond their circle. Zephyr Shadowstorm stood apart, poring over an ancient scroll by the dim light of Kayla Nightblaze's dancing flames. The moonlight bathed the ancient stones as Mira Silversong hummed a melodic tune, her ethereal glow illuminating the gathering. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence both haunting and protective. Elysia Stormheart's eyes glinted with power as she held her water-entwined staff close to her chest. Under a canopy of stars, Mira Silversong whispered into the wind, her voice carrying across the ancient stones like a soft melody. We gather here tonight not just as individuals, but as guardians bound by fate. Elysia Stormheart's eyes gleamed with determination as she added, Our journey will test us in ways we cannot yet imagine. Thorn Nightshade remained silent, his presence more felt than seen, blending into the shadows like a phantom. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow cast dancing light patterns on the ancient stones as she twirled her lute, its strings humming with a melody only she could hear. This gathering feels like the beginning of something monumental, Mira murmured to herself, her eyes scanning the faces around her. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff crackling with water and wind energy. Mira Silversong hummed a soft melody as she gazed at the ancient stones, her ethereal glow casting eerie patterns around them. The prophecy speaks of unity among us, Elysia Stormheart declared, her voice strong yet calm, water spiraling around her staff. Thorn Nightshade silently observed from the shadows, his presence both haunting and reassuring. The night was alive with a chorus of whispers as Mira Silversong sang softly under the moonlight, her voice echoing through the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, staff brimming with swirling water and wind, ready for any challenge that lay ahead. We must be cautious, Thorn Nightshade murmured from the shadows, his presence a stark contrast to Mira's ethereal glow. Mira Silversong's eyes shone with an ethereal light as she gazed at the ancient stones, feeling a deep connection to the spirits of old. Here lies the key to our future, Elysia Stormheart declared, her voice carrying over the wasteland like thunder from the depths of a stormy sea. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence both a warning and a promise. Elysia Stormheart felt the wind whispering her name as she raised her water-entwined staff. The ley lines are active tonight, bringing an unusual power to our gathering. Thorn Nightshade silently observed from the shadows, his presence a stark contrast to Mira Silversong's ethereal glow. Talos Ironclaw circled above on his majestic eagle, casting protective glances over the group. The ancient stones glowed faintly under the moonlight as Mira Silversong played a haunting melody on her lyre, while Elysia Stormheart's eyes shimmered with water and wind magic, ready to unleash her stormy wrath at any moment. Thorn Nightshade slipped into shadows near Lyra Frostwhisper, his presence both protective and ominous. We must find the ley line nexus, Zephyr Shadowstorm declared, clutching a book of ancient texts. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly across the ancient stones as she sang a melody of light, her ethereal glow casting intricate patterns on the ground. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, her staff crackling with water and wind, while Thorn Nightshade moved silently through the shadows, his presence barely noticeable. We must find the ley line nexus, Soraya Stormweaver declared, her eyes scanning the horizon with a determined gaze. The ancient stones crackled with latent magic as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminated her face, casting long shadows around the gathering circle. We must unite our powers to decipher the prophecy inscribed here, she declared, her voice echoing through the desolate wasteland. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, water spiraling around her staff in preparation for any storm that might come. The night was thick with magic as Mira Silversong's voice echoed across the desolate wasteland, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones around which the group had gathered. "We must unite our strengths to decipher the prophecy," she proclaimed, her words weaving through the air like threads of fate. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her water-entwined staff glowing softly as a reminder of the power they held. The moonlight casts an ethereal glow over the desolate wasteland as Mira Silversong sings softly, her voice echoing through the ancient stones. "We must uncover the secrets hidden here," Elysia Stormheart declares, her staff crackling with water magic as she surveys the surroundings. Talos Ironclaw circles overhead on his eagle, scanning for any signs of danger or intrigue. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland as she sang an ancient melody, her light shimmering like starlight around her. "The stones whisper secrets of old," Elysia Stormheart murmured, her staff crackling with water magic as she touched the worn rocks. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, ever watchful and ready for any challenge that lay ahead. The ancient stones glowed under the silver light of the moon as Mira Silversong sang a haunting melody, her voice cutting through the night air. "We must find the hidden valley before it's too late," Elysia Stormheart declared, her eyes reflecting the turbulent waters she commanded. Thorn Nightshade silently nodded, his presence a shadow in the moonlight. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the chill air like a soothing melody. "We must gather our strength if we are to face the darkness ahead." Thorn Nightshade nodded silently from the shadows, his presence both reassuring and enigmatic. Elysia Stormheart gazed out into the starlit wasteland, her eyes reflecting the swirling currents of magic. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the starlit wasteland as she began singing a haunting melody, her ethereal glow casting soft light on the ancient stones around them. Thorn Nightshade watched from the shadows, his presence barely noticeable but ever vigilant, while Kalar Nightblaze let out a flickering flame that danced in rhythm with Mira's song. Elysia Stormheart held her water-entwined staff tightly, ready to unleash a storm at a moment's notice. The ancient stones seemed to hum with power as Mira Silversong's ethereal light illuminated the faces of her companions. "This is where our destinies converge," she murmured, her voice carrying across the desolate wasteland like a soft melody. Thorn Nightshade nodded silently from the shadows, his eyes reflecting a mix of determination and sorrow. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a melody of light, her ethereal presence illuminating the dark wasteland as she spoke. "We must find the ley line nexus if we are to stop the impending cataclysm." Thorn Nightshade silently observed from the shadows, his eyes narrowing with suspicion and resolve. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with power, the water swirling around her fingers as she prepared for any storm that might arise. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the silence as she spoke softly yet clearly. "Each of us carries a piece of the prophecy. Let us find how they fit together." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly beside her, her eyes reflecting the moonlight glinting off the ancient stones. Thorn Nightshade moved silently to stand next to Soraya Stormweaver, his presence adding an eerie calm despite his shadowy form. Mira Silversong's voice echoed across the desolate wasteland, her words weaving a spell of unity among the gathered heroes. "We must face this darkness together," she declared, her ethereal glow illuminating their resolve. Thorn Nightshade shifted quietly from shadow to shadow, his presence both ominous and reassuring. Mira Silversong's voice resonated softly as she sang a haunting melody, her ethereal glow casting intricate patterns across the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, water swirling around her staff as she cast a protective spell over their gathering. Thorn Nightshade melted into shadows, his presence both menacing and enigmatic. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice echoed across the ancient stones, her light shimmering softly as she spoke of an old prophecy. When stars align with moon shadows, the path to salvation shall be revealed. Thorn Nightshade melted into the darkness, his eyes reflecting the flickering flames cast by Kalar Nightblaze's pyromancy. Meanwhile, Velora Moonwhisper stood apart from the group, her calm yet urgent presence a stark contrast to the brooding Cassian Darkblade, who lingered at the edge of the gathering. The moon hung low over the desolate wasteland as Mira Silversong's ethereal voice filled the air, her words resonating with an otherworldly melody. "We must unite our powers to uncover the ancient stone's secrets," she declared, her eyes twinkling under the starlit sky. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, water swirling around her staff, as if echoing Mira's call. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the barren wasteland, her ethereal glow casting a serene light over the ancient stones where they stood. "We must find the ley lines," she intoned, her words carrying the weight of an urgent prophecy. Thorn Nightshade remained silent, blending into the shadows as he observed his companions. Mira Silversong's voice echoed across the ancient stones, her ethereal glow casting a serene light over the group of heroes assembled under the starlit sky. "We must act swiftly," she declared, her words resonating with an otherworldly clarity that left no room for doubt. Thorn Nightshade shifted quietly into the shadows, blending seamlessly with the night, as if testing his own limit. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland as she sang a haunting melody under the starlit sky, her ethereal glow casting an otherworldly light on the ancient stones. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence barely noticeable as he blended into the shadows, eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. "We must proceed with caution," Elysia Stormheart warned, her staff crackling with water and wind magic. The cold wind whipped across the barren wasteland as Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly, her ethereal glow casting a gentle light around the ancient stones. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside her, blending into shadows like he was part of the night itself. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff entwined with water and wind swirling in her hands. Mira Silversong's voice echoed across the wasteland as she began a song of light, her ethereal glow casting long shadows around the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff twirling with water tendrils that danced in response to her commands, while Thorn Nightshade remained shrouded in darkness, his presence both unsettling and captivating. "We must be vigilant," Soraya Stormweaver declared firmly, eyes scanning the horizon as if searching for unseen threat. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the chilling night air, her ethereal light weaving a protective aura around the group. "We must find the ley line nexus before dawn," she declared, her words echoing with urgency and resolve. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling ominously as she prepared to harness the stormy winds at their backs. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the moonlit wasteland, her light weaving a protective aura around the group. "We must unite our strengths if we are to uncover the secrets hidden here," she whispered, her eyes scanning the ancient stones for any signs of guidance. Elysia Stormheart nodded in agreement, her staff crackling with electricity as she prepared for whatever dangers lay ahead. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the eerie silence, her words a melodic incantation meant to unite their fractured spirits. "We must stand together if we are to face what lies ahead," she declared with unwavering conviction. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling ominously as if in agreement. Elysia Stormheart's eyes scanned the horizon as a gust of wind carried whispers of an impending storm. "We must move quickly," she warned, her voice cutting through the night like sharp blades of ice. Thorn Nightshade shifted silently beside her, his presence almost imperceptible in the shadows. Mira Silversong's voice carried a melody of light as she sang softly, her glow illuminating the ancient stones under the silver moonlight. Elysia Stormheart clenched her staff tightly, lightning crackling around her fingers, while Thorn Nightshade slipped into shadows like a wraith, his eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. "This is our meeting place," Mira said, her voice echoing softly across the wasteland, bringing all present together under the watchful gaze of the celestial stars. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the night as she began to play a haunting melody on her lute, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones they had gathered around. Elysia Stormheart's eyes gleamed with power as she whispered incantations over her crackling staff, summoning winds that stirred the distant sands. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence both a warning and a promise of unseen danger. Mira Silversong's voice rang out across the wasteland, her light weaving a protective shield around them all. "We stand at a crossroads," she began, her words carried on the wind to each member of the group. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows nearby, his presence both menacing and comforting in its familiar form. Mira Silversong's voice echoes softly through the barren wasteland as she begins to weave a protective spell around the group. "We must be cautious," Thorn Nightshade mutters from the shadows, his eyes scanning the desolate landscape for any sign of danger. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackles with energy, her presence commanding and fierce. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly as she began a melody of light, her eyes sparkling with an ethereal glow under the moonlit sky. "The stones whisper secrets from ages past," Elysia Stormheart murmured, her staff crackling ominously as she approached ancient runes carved into the ground. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the silence, her ethereal notes weaving a protective shield around the group. "We must move now, while the ley lines are still aligned," she whispered, her eyes scanning the ancient stones for any sign of impending danger. Thorn Nightshade shifted closer to Elysia Stormheart, his presence blending seamlessly with the shadows as he prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland, her light weaving a fragile veil over the darkness. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, blending with the night as he observed his comrades from the edges of the group. "This place, it hums with ancient power," murmured Elysia Stormheart, her staff crackling softly. Mira Silversong's eyes sparkled with a divine light as she addressed her companions. "The path ahead will be fraught with peril, but together we shall forge a new destiny." Thorn Nightshade shifted silently into the shadows, his presence a stark reminder of their collective burdens. Kalar Nightblaze stood apart, flames flickering around him like restless spirits. The eerie moonlight cast long shadows over the barren wasteland as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminated a group of heroes gathered around ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, while Thorn Nightshade slipped into the darkness, blending seamlessly with his surroundings. "We must uncover what lies hidden within these runes," Zephyr Shadowstorm declared, eyes fixed intently on the engravings etched into the stone. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the cold night air, her ethereal light casting long shadows on the ancient stones. "We must be wary of what lies ahead," she whispered to Thorn Nightshade, who nodded silently, his form almost invisible against the dark wasteland. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff crackling ominously with electricity, a stark contrast to Lyra Frostwhisper's serene snowflakes floating calmly around her. Mira Silversong's voice resonated softly through the moonlit wasteland, her light intertwining with Elysia Stormheart's crackling lightning bolts. Thorn Nightshade slipped silently into the shadows, while Soraya Stormweaver scrutinized ancient runes on stone tablets with an enigmatic gaze. "These symbols, they speak of a convergence," she murmured, drawing puzzled glances from the group. Mira Silversong's ethereal melody echoed through the moonlit wasteland, her voice weaving a calming presence around the gathered heroes. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows beside Elysia Stormheart, his eyes glinting with the anticipation of hidden challenges ahead. "We must move swiftly and quietly," Thorn whispered to Mira. Mira Silversong's voice carried through the night air as she sang a haunting melody that seemed to weave light into the fabric of reality itself. "This place resonates with ancient magic," Elysia Stormheart muttered, her staff crackling with lightning as she surveyed the scene around them. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his presence barely noticeable but ever present. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow flickered as she began a haunting melody under the moonlit sky, her voice weaving through the night air like silver threads. "The stones whisper secrets of our fates," Elysia Stormheart intoned, her eyes narrowing at the ancient runes etched into the ground. Lightning crackling from her staff, Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, his presence a mere ghostly silhouette, watching and waiting. Mira Silversong's voice carries across the wasteland, her ethereal melodies weaving a protective aura around the group. Elysia Stormheart stands nearby, her staff crackling ominously as lightning flickers in her eyes. Thorn Nightshade observes silently from the shadows, his presence both reassuring and foreboding. Mira Silversong's voice cuts through the silence like a silver blade, her ethereal light dancing around Thorn Nightshade, who melds seamlessly into the shadows beside her. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackles ominously with lightning as she surveys the ancient stones, while Soraya Stormweaver's eyes gleam with knowledge of ages past. "These runes hold the key to our destiny," Zephyr Shadowstorm intones, his gaze fixed on a faded inscription. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate valley, her light weaving patterns around the ancient stones as she sang a haunting melody. "Here we stand on the threshold of destiny." Thorn Nightshade, his form barely visible in the shadows cast by Elysia Stormheart's stormy aura, whispered, "Our fates are intertwined now. Let us move forward with resolve." Kayla Nightblaze's flames flickered ominously at the edge of the gathering, illuminating the worn faces of each hero as they prepared for what lay ahead. Mira Silversong's light flickered softly as she sang under the moonlit sky, her voice weaving a protective spell around the gathered heroes. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, her eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, silent and watchful. Soraya Stormweaver's gaze was fixed on an ancient stone tablet, its runes shimmering in response to her touch. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow danced around us as she sang a haunting melody, her voice echoing through the moonlit wasteland. Elysia Stormheart stood beside me, her staff crackling with lightning, while Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows like a ghost. "The stones hold secrets," Soraya Stormweaver whispered, her eyes gleaming with hidden knowledge. Mira Silversong's voice rings out like a celestial melody, her ethereal glow weaving through the gathering of heroes. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackles with blue lightning, illuminating the ancient stones as she stands ready to defend her companions. Thorn Nightshade melds into the shadows, his presence an enigma even in this assembly. Thorn Nightshade's eyes glinted as he slipped into the shadows, his presence barely a whisper against the ancient stones. "The darkness holds answers," he murmured, his voice barely audible yet clear to those attuned to it. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow bathed the scene in an otherworldly light as she sang softly, her melody weaving through the night like a soothing balm. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the moonlit wasteland as she sang a haunting melody that seemed to soothe even the wind. "We must find the ley lines and follow them," Thorn Nightshade whispered from the shadows, his presence barely detectable yet ever present. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, lightning crackling ominously around her staff. Mira Silversong's voice resonates like a celestial symphony, her ethereal presence lighting up the night sky as she prepares to lead us into battle. Elysia Stormheart stands ready with lightning crackling around her staff, while Thorn Nightshade melds seamlessly into the shadows, his eyes reflecting only determination. "We must move swiftly," Elysia declares, her voice a stormy rumble that sets the others on edge. Elysia Stormheart's hair danced like tendrils of storm clouds as she murmured incantations under her breath, lightning flickering around her staff. "We must find the ley lines convergence," she declared with a sense of urgency that resonated through the night air. Mira Silversong stepped forward, her light forming an ethereal glow, casting long shadows across the ancient stones, as if warning of unseen dangers. Mira Silversong's voice rang out across the barren wasteland, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones beneath their feet. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with energy as she surveyed the group, ready to unleash a tempest if needed. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his presence both reassuring and unsettling. Mira Silversong's voice carried through the chilling night air as she sang an ancient melody that seemed to soothe even the restless spirits around them. "Can you sense it?" Thorn Nightshade whispered from the shadows, his eyes fixed on a flickering flame held by Kalar Nightblaze. The group's presence was palpable with tension and anticipation. Mira Silversong's voice resonates softly through the night as she plays a haunting melody on her harp, casting an ethereal glow that illuminates the ancient stones under the full moon. Elysia Stormheart stands nearby with her staff crackling ominously, the wind swirling around her like a force of nature herself. "We must proceed with caution," Thorn Nightshade murmurs from his position in the shadows, eyes narrowing as he observes their surroundings. Mira Silversong's voice echoes softly, her light casting an ethereal glow over the gathering as she sings a melody of hope and courage. Thorn Nightshade remains silent, his presence barely noticeable even to those who know him well, blending into the shadows like a ghost from another realm. Elysia Stormheart's eyes flash with power, her staff crackling ominously as she senses the impending storm. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the moonlit wasteland, her ethereal glow casting a serene light over the ancient stones where the group had gathered. "The stones whisper secrets of old," she murmured, her eyes closing as if listening to their silent tales. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff crackling ominously with lightning, a stark contrast to Mira's tranquil presence. The moon hung low over the eerie wasteland, as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow cast a serene light on the gathered heroes, her voice echoing softly with the night's wind. "Let us forge ahead, for our paths are intertwined by fate." Thorn Nightshade melted into shadows beside Elysia Stormheart, whose staff sizzled with electricity, Talos' iron claw circled overhead, his eagle's wings stirring the still air. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the silence like a gentle breeze, her words resonating with an otherworldly beauty. "We stand on the edge of something ancient and powerful." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning flickering around her staff as she spoke. "Our fates are intertwined with these stones." Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside them, his presence a shadow that seemed to speak volumes without a word. Mira Silversong's voice rose like a silver thread through the night air as she sang of ancient lore, her glow casting long shadows on the desolate stones. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence an enigma wrapped in darkness, eyes searching for any sign of impending danger. "We must find the answers hidden within these runes," Zephyr Shadowstorm declared, his scholarly demeanor evident as he bent over a set of ancient markings. Mira Silversong's voice rang through the moonlit wasteland, her ethereal melody weaving a spell of unity around their fractured group. "We must trust one another to face the trials ahead," she said, her eyes locking onto each person's soul as she spoke. Elysia Stormheart nodded. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the moonlit wasteland as she began her incantation, her glow casting an ethereal light on the ancient stones where they had gathered. "Let us delve into the heart of this mystery," Mira said, her words echoing with a sense of urgency and determination. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, illuminating the runes etched onto the stones as she prepared to harness their power. Mira Silversong's voice resonated like a melody of hope. "Our journey begins here, under the watchful gaze of ancient stones," Elysia Stormheart added, her eyes flashing with intensity. "The ley lines pulse with power tonight. It is wise to proceed." Thorn Nightshade remained silent, but his presence was reassuring, blending seamlessly into the shadows as if he were one with them. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the night, her melodies weaving a protective spell around the gathering heroes. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows beside Elysia Stormheart, whose staff crackled ominously with electricity. "We must move quickly," Soraya Stormweaver said, her eyes reflecting ancient wisdom and the weight of responsibility. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the wasteland, her ethereal glow casting a serene light on the ancient stones as she began to sing an incantation of unity. Thorn Nightshade silently observed from the shadows, his eyes scanning the group for any signs of weakness or betrayal. Soraya Stormweaver stood aloof, her gaze fixed on the runes etched into the ground, her mind unraveling their cryptic messages. The moonlight bathes the ancient stones as Mira Silversong sings softly, her voice weaving through the night air like a silken thread. Elysia Stormheart stands nearby, her staff crackling with electricity that sends shivers down everyone's spines. "We must find the ley lines and follow their path," Soraya Stormweaver declares, her eyes reflecting the hidden truths of the past. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly as she hummed a melody that seemed to soothe even the wind, her ethereal glow casting an otherworldly light around them. "We must proceed with caution," Elysia Stormheart warned, her eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of impending danger. Thorn Nightshade remained silent, his presence almost imperceptible as he moved into position beside Valora Moonwhisper. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice resonates through the chilling night air as she sings a haunting melody, her light creating an aura of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. "Can you feel it?" Elysia Stormheart asks, pointing to the swirling storm clouds gathering above us, her staff crackling with lightning. As Thorn Nightshade slips into the shadows, his presence still felt despite his invisibility. He thinks, "This is where our fates converge." Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the moonlit wasteland, her ethereal glow casting a serene light on the ancient stones as she sang of forgotten tales and hidden truths. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, and Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, blending seamlessly with the night as he observed his companions from the darkness. Soraya Stormweaver's eyes gleamed with arcane knowledge, her fingers tracing invisible patterns in the air. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the night, her ethereal melody weaving a spell of calm over the weary group gathered around ancient stones. "We must trust in each other if we are to uncover what lies hidden here," she whispered, her words carrying an unmistakable sincerity that touched everyone present. Elysia Stormheart nodded gravely, lightning sparking from her staff as she prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a silver bell, echoing across the moonlit wasteland as she began to weave an enchanting melody, her words imbued with power. "Let this song bind us together," she whispered, her eyes glimmering with determination. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside her, blending into the shadows as if he were part of the night itself. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a silver bell, her ethereal song weaving through the air. "Our strength lies not just in our blades, but in the harmony of our hearts." Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, her staff crackling with energy as she muttered to herself about the unpredictable forces that gathered around them. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among the shadows, his presence a silent reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath their brave facade. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the eerie silence like a silver blade, her melodies echoing across the ancient stones as she addressed the gathered heroes. "Our journey begins here under the watchful eyes of the moon." Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, illuminating the faces of Thorn Nightshade and Soraya Stormweaver. Talos Ironclaw circled overhead on his eagle while Aldoran Sunshadow stood in the moonlight, her presence ethereal yet unmistakable. Mira Silversong's voice rings out through the eerie wasteland, her words like balm on wounded souls. "Together we face what lies ahead." Elysia Stormheart's staff crackles with electricity as she adds, "Our combined powers will be our greatest strength tonight." Thorn Nightshade shifts from shadow to shadow, his presence both unsettling and reassuring. Mira Silversong's voice rings out softly yet clearly, her song weaving a protective barrier around our assembly as we stand amidst an ancient stone circle under the cold moonlight. "Together, we hold the strength to face what lies ahead," she whispers confidently. Thorn Nightshade moves silently beside me, his presence both reassuring and ominous. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the night as she spoke. "In this moment we stand together not just as warriors but as a family bound by fate." Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, her eyes reflecting determination. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, blending seamlessly with the darkness that surrounded them. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a silver bell, her ethereal melody weaving through the wind as she addressed the gathering heroes. "Our journey begins here, under the watchful eye of the ancient stones, where fate binds us all." Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows beside Mira, his eyes reflecting a mix of sorrow and resolve. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with energy, lightning arcing between the stones to illuminate their faces. Mira Silversong's voice lifted softly into the night, her ethereal tones weaving a protective enchantment around the gathering heroes. "We must move as one," she said, her eyes meeting those of Thorn Nightshade, who nodded solemnly from the shadows. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she surveyed the ancient stones, each rune glowing faintly in the moonlight. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice sang softly into the night as Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, illuminating their surroundings like a beacon of hope amidst the eerie wasteland. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his form barely discernible against the dark shadows cast by ancient stones, while Soraya Stormweaver's eyes gleamed with knowledge untold. "We must find the ley line nexus," Elysia declared, her voice steady and resolute. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice lifted into the night sky, her words resonating with a haunting melody that seemed to mend the wounds of those around her. "We must find the truth hidden within these stones," she whispered, her eyes locking onto Soraya Stormweaver, who nodded sullenly in agreement. The ancient runes etched on the stones shimmered under Elysia Stormheart's lightning-imbued staff as she read them aloud. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly, her melodies weaving through the chill night air as she sang a soothing tune to calm the restless spirits around them. "We must be cautious. Ancient magic lies dormant here," Elysia Stormheart warned, her eyes scanning the horizon for signs of impending danger. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside Mira, blending into the shadows while his mind raced with plans and regrets. The moonlight casts a silvery glow across the ancient stones where Mira Silversong stands, her voice a soothing melody that seems to calm even the wind itself. "We must find the Heartstone before it falls into the wrong hands," she sings softly, her eyes searching each face for understanding and resolve. Elysia Stormheart nudged. Mira Silversong's voice breaks the silence. "Our journey has led us here to this ancient stone circle under the watchful gaze of the moon." Thorn Nightshade moves silently from shadow to shadow, his presence a stark contrast to Mira's ethereal glow. Elysia Stormheart stands with her staff raised, lightning crackling around it, ready for any confrontation that might arise. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she surveyed the moonlit wasteland, her eyes narrowing slightly at the sight of ancient runes etched into weathered stones. "We must be cautious," she warned, her voice carrying a hint of urgency through the still night air. Talos Ironclaw circled overhead on his mighty eagle, providing aerial reconnaissance for their group. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the still night air, her words like a balm for weary souls. "We stand at the crossroads of destiny tonight," Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning crackling softly around her staff. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, his presence both comforting and ominous. Mira Silversong's voice filled the night air with a soothing melody as she sang, her ethereal tones healing invisible wounds. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff crackling with lightning as she prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, his presence barely noticeable, even in such dim light. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the moonlit wasteland as she sang a melody of healing and unity, her eyes locking onto Elysia Stormheart, who nodded gravely, her staff crackling ominously with lightning. "We stand on sacred ground," Elysia intoned, her words cutting through the chill air like a sharp blade. Around them, the ancient stones glowed faintly as each hero brought their unique strengths to bear against the shadows encroaching upon this forsaken land. Mira Silversong's voice broke the silence, her ethereal melody weaving through the night air like a calming balm on troubled souls. "We must proceed with caution," she warned, her eyes scanning the ancient stones for any sign of hidden danger. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning crackling around her staff as she prepared for whatever might come. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice sang softly into the night as her companions gathered around the ancient stones, each one contributing their unique aura to the eerie landscape. "The time has come for us to uncover the secrets hidden here," Elysia Stormheart declared, her staff crackling with electricity that illuminated the runes etched upon the stones. Thorn Nightshade's eyes flickered with shadows as he melded into the darkness, a silent guardian watching over them all. Mira Silversong's voice rose above the night's whispers, her words a balm for weary hearts. We must stay united. Our strength lies not just in numbers but in shared purpose. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning dancing around her staff, while Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, his presence felt rather than seen. Mira Silversong's voice carried across the moonlit wasteland like a soothing balm. We stand on the brink of destiny tonight. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously, with lightning as she scanned the horizon, her eyes narrowing. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his presence a silent reminder of the dangers that lurked unseen. Mira Silversong's voice cuts through the chill air as she sings a haunting melody, her ethereal glow illuminating the faces of her companions. We must be cautious, Thorn Nightshade mutters from his shadowy corner, eyes sharp and vigilant despite his deceptive calmness. Elysia Stormheart nods, lightning sparking around her staff as she surveys their surroundings. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the wasteland, her ethereal song weaving a spell of unity among the gathered heroes. Elysia Stormheart's eyes glowed with stormy intensity as she clenched her staff, ready to unleash the tempest within her. Thorn Nightshade melted into shadows at the edge of the circle, his presence a silent promise of protection. Mira Silversong's eyes sparkled under the moonlight as she whispered, "We stand on sacred ground tonight, a place where old magic still breathes." Elysia Stormheart's staff hummed with electricity as she replied, "Let us tread carefully, for this wasteland holds more than mere ruins." Mira Silversong's voice resounded softly yet clearly, her melodies weaving through the chilling night air, calming even the most restless spirits around the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart stood tall beside Mira, lightning crackling ominously at the tip of her staff as she surveyed their surroundings with a wary eye. "We must be cautious," she warned, her voice cutting like ice through the stillness. Mira Silversong's voice rings out, her ethereal melody weaving through the night air as she rallies the group. "Together we stand against the darkness that threatens our world." Elysia Stormheart's eyes flash with lightning as she adds, "Our powers are a beacon of hope in these dark times." Thorn Nightshade moves silently among them, his presence both reassuring and ominous. The night air was thick with anticipation as Mira Silversong's voice carried soothing melodies through the eerie wasteland, her ethereal presence a beacon of hope for the assembled heroes. "We must act now," Thorn Nightshade whispered from the shadows, his eyes gleaming with an inner resolve that belied his haunted past. Nearby, Soraya Stormweaver stood silent and watchful, her gaze fixed on ancient runes etched into the stones. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a silver bell, her ethereal song weaving through the chill night air as she gazed into the eyes of her companions. "We stand on the edge of destiny tonight," she said, her words resonating with both hope and foreboding. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning crackling around her staff in anticipation of the trials to come. Elysia Stormheart's eyes glowed with a fierce determination as she held her staff aloft, lightning crackling around it. "We must proceed with caution. These ancient stones hold more power than we can imagine." Mira Silversong's ethereal voice calmed the tension, singing softly to soothe their nerves and fortify their spirits. Mira Silversong's voice cuts through the night, her melodies weaving a protective spell over the group as they huddle around ancient stones. "We must be wary of what lies ahead. Shadows grow thick with." Thorn Nightshade moves silently beside her, his presence both reassuring and ominous. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackles ominously, lightning arcs sparking in the air. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the crisp night air like a gentle breeze, her ethereal tones soothing even the most anxious of minds as she sang softly about unity and courage. Elysia Stormheart, her staff crackling with electricity, watched over the group protectively while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows around them, his presence both reassuring and eerie. Soraya Stormweaver's eyes flickered with ancient knowledge, their depths holding secrets of bygone eras. Mira Silversong's voice carried through the night air, her ethereal melody soothing even the most harrowed souls as she sang of ancient lore and forgotten heroes. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows like a wraith, his presence barely noticeable yet always felt by those around him. Elysia Stormheart's eyes flashed with lightning, her stormy power crackling in the air as she prepared for whatever lay ahead. Mira Silversong's voice rang out softly into the night as she sang a melody of hope and courage. We stand together against the darkness. The ancient stones around them crackled with energy as Elysia Stormheart's staff sparked with lightning, readying for battle. Thorn Nightshade slipped silently into the shadows, his presence both ominous and reassuring. The wind whispered through the barren wasteland as Mira Silversong began singing a haunting melody, her voice weaving a protective aura around the group. Thorn Nightshade's eyes glinted with the moonlight, his presence both menacing and reassuring to those who knew him well. Elysia Stormheart stood tall, her staff crackling ominously as she surveyed their surroundings, ready to unleash the full power of nature at any moment. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the wasteland as she sang a haunting melody, her eyes closed in concentration. The stones whisper secrets of old, Elysia Stormheart murmured, her staff crackling with electricity as she examined ancient runes inscribed on the weathered rocks. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among the shadows, blending into the darkness like an ethereal specter. Mira Silversong's voice resonates softly, her ethereal melody weaving through the eerie wasteland like a soothing balm amidst the tension. We must find the ley line nexus if we are to harness its power, she declares, her eyes locking onto each member of the group. Thorn Nightshade slips closer to Elysia Stormheart, his presence blending into shadows, as he murmurs, "Be prepared for any challenge." The moonlight casts an eerie glow over the ancient stones as Mira Silversong's ethereal voice resonates through the wasteland, healing wounds unseen. "Let us remember why we stand together tonight," she whispers to the group gathered around her. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackles with electricity, and Thorn Nightshade disappears into the shadows beside her. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the crisp air like a silver blade. "We must find the ley line nexus if we wish to confront the dark powers at play here." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling ominously as she added, "The storms are gathering. Our time is short." Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, blending seamlessly with the night. The ancient stones whispered secrets of old as Mira Silversong's voice lifted into the night sky, her ethereal melody weaving a protective aura around the group. "We must be cautious," Thorn Nightshade murmured from the shadows, his presence both reassuring and ominous. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning dancing across her staff. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly across the moonlit wasteland, her ethereal melody weaving through the air like a silken thread. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence barely noticeable as he slipped into the shadows, blending seamlessly with the night. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously with lightning, each spark lighting up the bleak landscape momentarily. Mira Silversong's voice rises into the night as she sings a melody of hope and healing, her ethereal presence calming even Thorn Nightshade's tense demeanor amidst the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart channels lightning through her staff, creating a dynamic contrast with Kalar night blazes dancing flames. Just yards away, their elemental energies intertwining in a mesmerizing dance of light and shadow. Soraya Stormweaver's eyes sparkle mysteriously as she whispers arcane incantations to the stones, seeking clues from times long past. The night air was thick with magic, as Mira Silversong's voice began to weave a spell of unity among the assembled heroes. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside her, his presence both haunting and reassuring at once. "This meeting must be about confronting the darkness that threatens our realm," Thorn murmured, his eyes scanning the group for any sign of weakness or fear. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the night as she whispered a calming melody. "Let our spirits find solace here." Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff crackling ominously with electricity as storm clouds gathered overhead. Thorn Nightshade silently observed from within the shadows, his presence both unsettling and reassuring. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly across the desolate wasteland as she sang a melody that seemed to calm even the wind. "Our journey will be fraught with danger," Thorn Nightshade murmured from the shadows, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of impending threat. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, her staff crackling ominously with electrical energy. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a silver bell, her ethereal glow weaving through the shadows as she sang of ancient prophecies. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff crackling with electric energy that danced around her in a protective aura. Thorn Nightshade moved silently from one shadow to another, his presence a silent warning to any who dared approach them without invitation. The night was alive with an eerie glow as Mira Silversong's ethereal light flickered amidst the ancient stones, casting long shadows across the barren wasteland. Thorn Nightshade moved silently through the darkness, blending into the shadows like a ghost, while Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, illuminating her fierce expression. "We must uncover the secrets hidden here," Soraya Stormweaver murmured, her eyes reflecting an ancient wisdom that seemed to pierce through time. The moonlight bathed the ancient stones in a silver glow as Mira Silversong begins to sing, her voice healing wounds and bolstering spirits. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackles with electricity, lightning arcing towards the sky as she prepares for whatever challenges lie ahead. Thorn Nightshade moves silently into the shadows, blending seamlessly with the night, his presence both comforting and foreboding. Mira Silversong's voice carried through the moonlit wasteland like a gentle breeze, her ethereal melody soothing even the tensest of warriors. Elysia Stormheart's eyes flashed with defiance as she surveyed the dark horizon, her staff crackling ominously with the promise of stormy power. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, his presence a stark reminder of the dangers lurking in the darkness. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the night air as she began her incantation, her words a melodic spell meant to protect their gathering from unseen eyes. "Let our light be a beacon against the shadows," she sang softly, her ethereal glow illuminating Elysia Stormheart, and the rest of the group huddled around the ancient stones. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the darkness at the edge of the circle, his presence both comforting and unsettling. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the night air, her melodies weaving a protective spell around the gathered heroes. Elysia Stormheart's eyes glowed with power as she surveyed the ancient stones, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence both menacing and enigmatic. "These runes hold the key to our mission," Zephyr Shadowstorm intoned, his voice dripping with scholarly enthusiasm. Mira Silversong's voice rings out softly, yet powerfully under the moonlight, her melodies weaving through the air like silver threads. "Our journey lies ahead. where shadows deepen and light struggles to pierce the gloom. Thorn Nightshade stands silently beside her, blending into the darkness with ease, his presence a stark reminder of the dangers they face. The ancient stones around them whisper secrets of bygone eras, their weathered faces telling tales only the most attuned can hear. Mira Silversong's voice rings out like a melody, her ethereal presence soothing even Thorn Nightshade's brooding demeanor as he melds into shadows beside her. Elysia Stormheart's eyes flash with power as lightning arcs from the tip of her staff, illuminating the ancient stones around which our heroes gather. We must uncover what lies beneath these runes, Sapphire Shadowstorm intones, his scholarly gaze never wavering from the enigmatic symbols etched into stone. Mira Silversong's voice broke the silence as she began singing a melody that seemed to heal the weary souls around her. We must find the ancient stones before dawn breaks, Thorn Nightshade whispered from the shadows, his presence both ominous yet protective. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning crackling across her staff as she prepared for any storm that might come their way. Mira Silversong's voice pierced the night air like a silver blade, her ethereal song echoing across the ancient stones as she whispered, "We must proceed with caution. The shadows know our secrets." Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, lightning crackling around her staff, while Thorn Nightshade slipped into the darkness, his presence barely noticeable. The moonlight cast eerie patterns on the wasteland, highlighting each character's unique aura and purpose. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the eerie wasteland as she sang softly, her melody weaving a protective barrier around their gathering. Thorn Nightshade moved with silent grace beside Elysia Stormheart, who muttered incantations under her breath, lightning crackling from her staff in response to her words. Draven Frostborn stood watch at the edge of the circle, his presence as cold and unwavering as the night itself. Mira Silversong's voice rose above the whispering winds as she sang a soothing melody, her ethereal presence calming even the most anxious among them. "Let us find solace in unity," Mira intoned softly, her eyes meeting each member of the group with unwavering determination. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning sparking from her staff as if to emphasize their impending journey's gravity. Mira Silversong's voice floated like a gentle breeze, her ethereal song weaving through the moonlit wasteland as she spoke. "Our journey begins here, at this ancient site where lie lines converge." Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, his presence both haunting and protective. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously with gathered energy. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice echoed through the night as she spoke. "Our path forward will be fraught with danger, but it is a journey of destiny." Thorn Nightshade nodded silently from the shadows, his dark past weighing heavily on him despite his quest for redemption. Kaler Nightblaze stood near Mira, his flames dancing ominously in the moonlight. Mira Silversong sang softly under the moonlight, her voice weaving through the wind as if she was speaking directly to the stars. "The stones hold secrets we must unravel," she whispered, her eyes glowing with a serene intensity that seemed to calm even the most restless spirits. Elysia Stormheart's hair swirled around her face like a tempestuous cloud, and Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence both reassuring and enigmatic. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the barren wasteland as she sang a soothing melody, her ethereal presence calming even the most agitated spirits among them. "We must trust each other to survive this," Elysia Stormheart said firmly, lightning arcing from her staff and illuminating the ancient stones scattered around. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, blending seamlessly with the darkness, his eyes scanning for any sign of danger. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the night air, her ethereal melody soothing even the most hardened souls. While Elysia Stormheart's eyes gleamed with the power of nature's fury, Thorn Nightshade moved like a wraith, blending into the shadows as he surveyed his comrades for any sign of weakness or betrayal. "Stay vigilant," he muttered to himself, his voice barely audible. The moonlight bathes the ancient stones as Mira Silversong sings a haunting melody, her voice cutting through the chill night air with an ethereal glow. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackles ominously, lightning dancing along its length, as she prepares for any impending danger. Thorn Nightshade slips into the shadows like liquid darkness, his presence both eerie and comforting to those who know him well. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice echoed softly across the ancient stones as she sang a song of healing and unity, her words weaving through the night like delicate threads of light. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, her staff crackling with electric energy as she prepared to defend their group against any threats that might arise. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his dark presence both ominous and reassuring. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the ancient stones, her ethereal melody soothing even the tensest souls among them. Elysia Stormheart's eyes gleamed with a stormy intensity, her staff crackling ominously as she prepared to unleash her elemental fury. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence both reassuring and unsettling. Mira Silversong's voice rang out across the desolate landscape, her ethereal melody weaving through the cold night air like a soothing balm for weary souls. Thorn Nightshade moved with silent grace beside me, his presence both haunting and protective as he scanned the surroundings for any sign of danger. Elysia Stormheart's eyes gleamed with power as she surveyed the ancient stones, her staff crackling softly with electricity. Mira Silversong's voice rings out across the moonlit wasteland, her ethereal song weaving a protective barrier around the group as they gather around the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackles with lightning illuminating the runes carved into the stone, while Thorn Nightshade blends seamlessly into the shadows beside them. "We must uncover what these symbols hold," Soraya Stormweaver murmurs, her eyes filled with a knowing intensity. Mira Silversong's voice carried through the night air, her melodies weaving a protective shield around the gathered heroes as they huddled by the ancient stones. Thorn Nightshade watched from the shadows, his presence a silent reminder of the dangers lurking beyond their circle of light. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously with every whisper of wind that swept across the wasteland. Mira Silversong's voice carried across the moonlit wasteland, her ethereal song calming even the fiercest of souls. "We must find the ley lines. They hold the key to our next move," she said, her eyes meeting those of each hero gathered around the ancient stones. Thorn Nightshade slipped closer to Mira's side, his presence a silent promise of protection and loyalty. Mira Silversong's voice broke through the night silence, her ethereal melody resonating with an otherworldly harmony as she spoke directly into the storm. "Our journey ahead will be fraught with peril, but let our songs guide us toward light." Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling ominously as she added, "We must weather these tempests together if we are to reach our destination." Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his presence both a comfort and a warning. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice filled the air as she sang a haunting melody, her words weaving a protective shield around the group. "Let us hold fast to our bonds," Elysia Stormheart declared with authority, lightning arcing from her staff to light up their faces. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, his presence both reassuring and eerie, whispering, "We are never truly alone." Mira Silversong's voice cut through the silence as she declared, We must unite our strengths if we are to unravel the secrets of these ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, her staff crackling with energy, while Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows. The night air was thick with anticipation and the weight of ancient magic. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the wasteland as she sang a calming melody, her eyes glowing with ethereal light. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows beside Elysia Stormheart, who crackled with electricity from her staff, while Talos Ironclaw soared overhead on his majestic eagle. Mira Silversong's voice lifted into the night sky, her ethereal melody soothing even as Elysia Stormheart summoned a storm of wind and lightning around them. Thorn Nightshade slipped quietly into the shadows, his presence unnoticed yet ever present, blending with the darkness like a wraith. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice whispers a melody of unity as she gazes into the eyes of each hero, her song weaving through the night air like moonbeams. Thorn Nightshade's dark form shifts subtly within the shadows, his presence both menacing and protective. "We must be vigilant," he murmurs to no one in particular, his words carrying the weight of unspoken secrets. Mira Silversong's voice rose above the howling wind, her melodies weaving a protective shield around the group as they huddled near ancient stones. "We must unite our strengths if we are to face what lies ahead," she declared, her eyes meeting each of their gazes in turn. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with lightning as she prepared for whatever challenges lay in store. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice sang softly, her melody weaving through the night air like a gentle breeze. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously with electricity as she scanned the horizon for signs of danger, while Thorn Nightshade silently melted into the shadows, his presence barely noticeable. Mira Silversong's voice broke the silence as she sang a haunting melody that seemed to calm even the fiercest spirits around them. "We stand on the brink of destiny," her words echoed softly yet powerfully. Elysia Stormheart added, "Our choices here will ripple through time and shape futures we cannot yet see." The moon cast an eerie glow over the ancient stones where Mira Silversong's ethereal light danced among Elysia Stormheart's crackling staff. Thorn Nightshade melded into shadows while Soraya Stormweaver gazed at the runes with a knowing eye, her presence shrouded in mystery. "What secrets do these stones hold?" she mused aloud, drawing curious glances from the others. The night was alive with whispers of ancient magic as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow bathed the group in a soft healing light. "We must be cautious," Thorn Nightshade murmured from his place in the shadows, eyes scanning for unseen threat. Draven Frostborn stood guard at the edge of the circle, his icy presence a stark contrast to Lyra Frostwhisper's serene calm amidst swirling snowflakes. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly across the eerie moonlit wasteland, her ethereal glow casting a warm light on the ancient stones where the group gathered. "We stand at the crossroads of destiny," she murmured, her words carrying weight and purpose. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she surveyed their surroundings, her eyes narrowing in concentration. Mira Silversong's voice cuts through the silence like a soothing balm, her ethereal melody echoing off ancient stones as she sings of hope and renewal. Thorn Nightshade shifts slightly, his dark form melding with the shadows, as he listens intently to Mira's words. Elysia Stormheart stands near Mira, her eyes sparkling with lightning as she senses the impending storm that lies ahead. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly through the moonlit wasteland as she sang an ancient tune, her ethereal glow casting long shadows across the barren earth. "The stones here hold secrets of a bygone era," Soraya Stormweaver murmured, tracing intricate runes etched on the weathered stone with trembling fingers. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside them, his presence blending into the darkness like a shadow slipping between night and dawn. The blood-red moon cast a spectral glow over the ancient stones as Mira Silversong's ethereal voice echoed through the wasteland. "We stand on sacred ground tonight, where shadows and light converge." Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, illuminating Thorn Nightshade, who melded into the shadows. Killer Nightblaze's flames flickered menacingly around him as he muttered, "Beware the night that whispers secrets." Kalimajin Promptunda, a blood-red moon. The ancient stones glimmer in ethereal light. Mira Silversong stands radiant with an otherworldly glow, her voice echoing through the wasteland. Elysia Stormheart holds her staff aloft, crackling with lightning as she surveys their surroundings. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she surveyed the ancient stones bathed in ethereal light, her presence a whirlwind of change. "The ley lines converge here," Mira Silversong whispered, her voice echoing through the wasteland like a gentle breeze that calms troubled souls. Shadows danced around Thorn Nightshade, blending him into the night as he watched silently from the periphery. The night air was thick with magic as Mira Silversong's melodies echoed through the ancient stones, her voice a soothing balm against the looming shadows of the wasteland. Thorn Nightshade moved like a wraith, blending into the darkness at the edge of the circle, where Elysia Stormheart and Talus Ironclaw commanded their respective elements with fierce concentration. Nearby, Killer Nightblaze's flames flickered menacingly, casting eerie shadows on the gathered heroes. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the ancient stones as she sang a soothing melody, her ethereal presence calming even the most agitated spirits around them. "Let us find the path forward, guided by wisdom and courage," Mira declared, her eyes twinkling with inner light. Elysia Stormheart nodded in agreement, lightning arcing from her staff, while Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, his dark silhouette barely visible under the blood-red moon. The blood-red moon hung low over the desolate wasteland, casting a chilling glow on the ancient stones where Mira Silversong's ethereal light flickered like distant stars. Elysia Stormheart stood with her staff crackling ominously, while Thorn Nightshade disappeared into the shadows, his presence felt but unseen. "We must be cautious," Soraya Stormweaver whispered, her eyes glinting with a wisdom that cut through the darkness. The night air was thick with tension as Mira Silversong's voice rang out, her words weaving a spell of unity around the gathered heroes. "We stand at the precipice of destiny," she declared, her eyes locking onto each face in turn. Elysia Stormheart nodded resolutely, lightning dancing along the tips of her fingers, as if eager to unleash its power. The blood-red moon cast an eerie glow over the ancient stones bathed in ethereal light, as Mira Silversong sang a melody that calmed even the most restless spirits. "We stand at the crossroads of destiny," she whispered, her voice carrying like the breeze through the wasteland. Elysia Stormheart nodded gravely, lightning crackling around her staff, while Thorn Nightshade melted into shadows, blending with the night. Mira Silversong's voice cuts through the chilling night air, her words a melodic promise of hope. Let us unite our powers tonight, for only together can we face what lies ahead. Elysia Stormheart stands tall beside Mira, her staff crackling ominously as she adds, "And let the storm within me rage alongside yours, for it will light our path through darkness." Thorn Nightshade remains silent, but his presence is reassuring. His eyes flicker with an ethereal glow before he melts back into the shadows. The blood-red moon hung low over the desolate wasteland, as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminated a circle of ancient stones, casting long shadows across the eerie landscape. "We must find the heart of this darkness," she whispered, her voice both soothing and commanding. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows beside her, his presence both comforting and foreboding. Mira Silversong's voice rose above the whispers of the wasteland, her ethereal melody weaving a protective barrier around the group as they gathered by the ancient stones. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows to guard their periphery, his dark presence a silent sentinel against unseen threats. Elysia Stormheart stood beside Mira, her staff crackling with lightning that illuminated the runes etched on the stones. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland, her ethereal melody weaving a protective shield around the group. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she surveyed the ancient stones bathed in pale moonlight, her eyes narrowing thoughtfully at the runes carved into their surface. Thorn Nightshade melted seamlessly into the shadows, his presence a silent sentinel watching over the assembly. The blood-red moon casts an eerie glow over the ancient stones, where Mira Silversong's ethereal light dances amidst the gathering heroes. "This place holds secrets older than our memories," whispers Thorn Nightshade as he melts into shadows beside me, his presence both comforting and unsettling. Kayla Nightblaze's flames flicker menacingly, casting long shadows that seem to stretch out towards us like grasping fingers. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the wasteland, her ethereal melody weaving a protective shield around us as shadows crept closer. "We must stay united," she sang softly, her words resonating with an urgent truth. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside me, his presence both comforting and foreboding. The wasteland was cloaked in a haunting silence broken only by Mira Silversong's ethereal voice as she sang a song of healing and protection for their journey ahead. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, illuminating the ancient stones bathed in a ghostly glow, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence both comforting and unsettling. Mira Silversong's voice filled the air as she sang softly, her ethereal melody soothing even the ancient stones beneath their feet. "Can you feel it?" Thorn Nightshade whispered to Mira, his dark eyes scanning the shadowy wasteland for any sign of danger. Soraya Stormweaver knelt beside the runes etched into the stones, her fingers tracing patterns that shimmered with arcane energy. The blood-red moon cast an eerie glow over the desolate wasteland as the heroes assembled around ancient stones, their forms illuminated by a tapestry of magic. "This place hums with untold stories," Mira Silversong whispered, her ethereal voice echoing softly through the night. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously, lightning dancing along its length. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the ancient stones, her ethereal melody soothing even as dark clouds gathered overhead and a blood-red moon illuminated the eerie wasteland. Elysia Stormheart stood near Mira, her staff crackling with lightning, while Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows beside them. "We must prepare for what lies ahead," Thorn murmured, his voice barely audible over the howl of the wind. The ancient stones glowed faintly under the blood-red moonlight, casting eerie shadows across the wasteland as Mira Silversong sang a soothing melody to calm their nerves. Thorn Nightshade whispered from the darkness, We must be cautious. Our enemies are as unpredictable as this night. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, illuminating her determined expression. The moon hung low over the desolate wasteland, casting a blood-red glow across ancient stones etched with runes of forgotten languages. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice sang softly, healing wounds as Thorn Nightshade moved silently through the shadows like a specter from another realm. We must uncover what lies within these ruins, Elysia Stormheart declared, her staff crackling ominously. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a soothing balm under the eerie glow of the blood-red moon. Let us face our destiny as we have faced every challenge side by side. Elysia Stormheart's eyes blazed with determination as she cracked her staff to release bolts of lightning into the night sky. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence both menacing and comforting. The blood-red moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the ancient stones where the heroes had gathered, their figures illuminated by Mira Silversong's ethereal light. We must be cautious, Thorn Nightshade whispered from the shadows, his voice barely audible above the rustling wind. Elysia Stormheart nodded grimly, her staff crackling with a low hum of energy. Under a blood-red moon, Mira Silversong's voice sang out, her melodies weaving through the night air like silver threads. The ancient stones glowed with an ethereal light, casting long shadows as Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously beside them. Thorn Nightshade moved silently, blending into the darkness like a phantom. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the silence like a soothing balm as she began singing an ancient melody, her eyes reflecting the ethereal glow of the moonlit stones. Let our voices blend together, she whispered, looking around at the gathered heroes, who stood ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously with lightning, a stark contrast to Lyra Frostwist's serene aura of swirling snowflakes. Mira Silversong's voice cuts through the silence of the wasteland as she sings a haunting melody, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones around them. Thorn Nightshade moves silently from the shadows, his presence both reassuring and unsettling, while Elysia Stormheart channels lightning into her staff, preparing for any threat. We must uncover the secrets hidden here, Soraya Stormweaver declares, her eyes gleaming with a knowledge that none can fathom. Mira Silversong's voice carried across the moonlit wasteland like a balm, soothing every tense muscle with her ethereal melody. Our time draws near, and so does our destiny. Thorn Nightshade stepped out of the shadows, his presence both ominous and protective. Let us face whatever comes next together. Mira Silversong's voice rings out like a bell, echoing through the desolate wasteland as she sings an ancient melody under the blood-red moon, her ethereal glow illuminating the faces of her companions. We must gather strength from this place, Elysia Stormheart declares, pointing to the ancient stones bathed in ethereal light, her staff crackling with lightning as she channels her power into them. Thorn Nightshade slips silently between shadows, his presence both a comfort and a warning to those who dare to disturb their solemn vigil. Mira Silversong's voice rings out like silver bells under the blood-red moon, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones surrounded by a wasteland of desolation. Thorn Nightshade melds into shadows near Kalar Nightblaze's dancing flames, their dark figures contrasting sharply against the swirling snowflakes summoned by Lyra Frostwhisper. This is where it begins, Soraya Stormweaver whispers, her eyes gleaming with hidden knowledge as she studies the ancient runes on the stones. The wasteland crackled with an eerie silence broken only by Elysia's murmured incantations as lightning flickered around her staff. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence a stark reminder of the darkness that lurked unseen. "We must be wary," Mira Silversong warned, her voice soft but commanding. Mira Silversong's voice sang out softly, her words weaving a protective barrier around the group as they huddled near the ancient stones. "We stand at the threshold of destiny tonight," she whispered, her eyes twinkling with ethereal light. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously, lightning arcing between clouds overhead. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the desolate wasteland under the blood-red moon, her ethereal glow casting light on ancient stones bathed in an otherworldly luminescence. Elysia Stormheart stood beside Mira, her staff crackling with electric energy as she surveyed the group, each member prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. "We stand at a crossroads," Thorn Nightshade whispered into the night, his presence blending seamlessly with the shadows. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the night, her melody weaving a protective shield around us as we stood vigil near the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, illuminating the desolate wasteland under the blood-red moon, while Thorn Nightshade moved like a shadow, blending seamlessly into the darkness. "We must uncover what these runes tell," Zephyr Shadowstorm intoned, his eyes scanning the weathered stones with scholarly intensity. As the blood-red moon hung low over the desolate wasteland, Mira Silversong's ethereal glow brought a semblance of hope amidst the despair, her voice echoing with an otherworldly serenity. "Let our strength be as one tonight." Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously, lightning arcing around her. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows like a spectre from another realm. The wind howled through the ravaged landscape as Mira Silversong's voice rose above it, singing a haunting melody that seemed to heal the very air itself. "We must prepare for what lies ahead," Thorn Nightshade whispered from his perch within the shadows, eyes glinting with an inner fire hidden beneath layers of darkness. Nearby, Soraya Stormweaver's gaze flickered between ancient runes, etched into weathered stones. The heroes huddled together under the crimson moonlight, their presence forming a tableau of power and mystery. Mira Silversong's voice resonates through the wasteland, healing wounds unseen while Thorn Nightshade slips into the shadows like a ghost. "We must uncover what lies beneath these ancient stones," Elysia Stormheart declares with an authority that commands attention. The night was cloaked in an eerie silence as Mira Silversong sang softly, her voice weaving a protective aura around the group huddled near ancient stones, illuminated by ethereal light. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows unnoticed, his presence a silent sentinel. While Soraya Stormweaver's eyes shone with arcane knowledge, she would soon impart to the others. "There is something here," Zephyr Shadowstorm murmured, tracing intricate runes etched on the stone beneath moonlight. Mira Silversong's voice rose above the whispers of the wasteland, her ethereal melodies weaving a protective aura around us as she sang. "We stand united here tonight, under the moon's watchful eye." Elysia Stormheart nodded, lightning flickering around her staff in response. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows beside me, his presence both comforting and foreboding. The blood-red moon cast an eerie glow over the desolate wasteland where the heroes had gathered, a place of ancient power and forgotten secrets. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the night, her ethereal song weaving around Elysia Stormheart's crackling lightning as they prepared for their impending battle. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows beside them, his presence both comforting and chilling in equal measure. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the oppressive silence of the desolate wasteland as she spoke. Our journey has led us here, a place where ancient magic still resonates, calling to those who dare listen. Thorn Nightshade moved silently from the shadows, his eyes reflecting the blood-red moonlight. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously, lightning dancing around her fingers. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a silver bell under the blood-red moon, her ethereal glow casting an eerie light on the ancient stones. "We stand at the crossroads of destiny," she proclaimed, her words echoing through the desolate wasteland. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, his presence both ominous and protective. The wasteland stretched before them under the blood-red moon, ancient stones glowing with ethereal light, casting long shadows across the barren earth. Mira Silversong sang softly, her voice a balm for their weary souls, while Elysia Stormheart's eyes glowed with the power of lightning in her staff. "We must find the hidden path," Thorn Nightshade whispered into the night, his form almost indistinguishable from the shadows. Elysia Stormheart's eyes flashed with a stormy intensity as she scanned the desolate wasteland under the blood-red moon. "We must be cautious here," she warned, her staff crackling ominously. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, blending seamlessly with the night. The moon hung low, casting an eerie red glow over the barren wasteland where the heroes had gathered around ancient stones, their collective energies illuminating the night like a beacon of hope amid despair. "We must find a way to harness this power," Mira Silversong sang softly, her voice echoing through the desolate landscape with healing melodies that soothed weary souls. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously as she surveyed their surroundings, ready to unleash the tempest if needed. The blood-red moon cast an ominous glow over the desolate wasteland as Mira Silversong's ethereal voice began a haunting melody, weaving healing magic through the air. "Place holds secrets from ages past," Elysia Stormheart muttered, her staff crackling with lightning as she examined ancient runes etched into the stones. Thorn Nightshade shifted silently in the shadows, his presence both menacing and protective. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland, her ethereal glow casting an otherworldly light upon the ancient stones. "We must uncover the secrets of this place before the darkness consumes us," she whispered to Elysia Stormheart as they stood together under the blood-red moon. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence a silent sentinel amidst the gathering. Mira Silversong's voice cuts through the howling wind as she sings a haunting melody that seems to calm the very spirits of the wasteland. "We must find the truth here tonight," Thorn Nightshade whispers, his eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of danger. Soraya Stormweaver's fingers trace ancient runes etched into the stones, her voice barely audible in reverence. The eerie glow of Mira Silversong's ethereal presence shone like a beacon under the blood-red moon, her voice weaving threads of hope into the fabric of reality. Thorn Nightshade watched from the shadows, his dark silhouette blending seamlessly with the night as he listened intently to Soraya Stormweaver's cryptic words about ancient runes and forgotten prophecies. "We must tread carefully," Thorn whispered, his eyes narrowing as he scanned their surroundings for hidden threats. Mira Silversong's voice rose above the whispering wind as she sang a haunting melody, her ethereal tones soothing even the most ragged of spirits around the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart's eyes blazed with fierce determination as lightning crackled from her staff, casting long shadows that danced over the desolate wasteland. Thorn Nightshade melted into the darkness like liquid shadow, his presence a silent but ever watchful guardian. The desolate wasteland was awash with an eerie crimson hue, as the blood-red moon cast its melancholic glow over ancient stones shimmering with ethereal light. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the air, healing wounds and soothing spirits alike, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows like a phantom. "I sense danger lurking in these ruins," he whispered, his eyes narrowing as he scanned the surroundings. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly across the desolate wasteland as she sang a song of unity, her words weaving an invisible bond between the gathered heroes. "Together we stand stronger," she whispered to Elysia Stormheart, who nodded gravely, lightning arcing from her staff in response to Mira's serene power. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence both a silent reassurance and a warning. The ancient stones shimmer with a faint light under the blood-red moon as Mira Silversong's voice weaves a melody of hope through the chilling night air. Thorn Nightshade moves silently among them, his presence both comforting and unsettling, while Soraya Stormweaver studies the runes etched into the stone's surface, her eyes reflecting deep knowledge and hidden secrets. "What do these symbols mean?" Sapphire Shadowstorm asks, his voice barely audible over the rustling wind. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the wasteland, her ethereal notes weaving a protective cocoon around the gathered heroes. "We stand on the brink of destiny," she intoned softly, eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light as if drawing power from the ancient stones themselves. Elysia Stormheart nodded in agreement, lightning crackling along the length of her staff. Mira Silversong's voice cuts through the silence as she sings a haunting melody that calms the turbulent spirits of the wasteland. "This place whispers secrets from ages past," Elysia Stormheart mutters, her eyes scanning the horizon for signs of danger. Thorn Nightshade remains silent, blending seamlessly into the shadows, while observing his companions with keen interest. Mira Silversong's voice resounded through the desolate wasteland, her ethereal melody weaving around the ancient stones as a soft glow emanated from her fingertips. "We stand at the crossroads of our destiny," she whispered, her eyes scanning the group for signs of resolve or doubt. Elysia Stormheart's staff sparked with lightning, casting flickering shadows that danced across Thorn Nightshade's form as he slipped into the darkness. Mira Silversong's voice rings out over the desolate wasteland, her ethereal song filling the air with hope despite the ominous red moon overhead. "We must prepare ourselves for what lies ahead. Our journey has only just begun." Elysia Stormheart nods grimly, lightning arcing from her staff to illuminate the ancient stones bathed in a spectral light. Thorn Nightshade watches silently from the shadows, his presence both reassuring and foreboding. The wind howled across the desolate wasteland as Mira Silversong sang a haunting melody, her voice weaving through the night like silver threads. Elysia Stormheart's eyes flashed with power as she surveyed the ancient stones, lightning crackling from her staff, while Thorn Nightshade melted into shadows at the edge of the circle. "This place holds secrets," Soraya Stormweaver muttered, her gaze fixed on the runes etched in the stone. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland as she sang a melody that seemed to calm the storm brewing around them. "We must find the heart of this darkness if we are to survive," Elysia Stormheart declared, her eyes flashing with determination under the blood-red moon. Thorn Nightshade moved silently among the shadows, his presence both unsettling and protective. Mira Silversong's voice trembled slightly as she began to sing a haunting melody that seemed to weave protective barriers around them all. "Beware the shadows," Thorn Nightshade whispered sharply from his place at the edge of their circle, eyes scanning every dark corner for threats unseen. The ancient stones pulsed with an ethereal light, casting eerie silhouettes against the blood-red moon. The blood-red moon hung low over a desolate wasteland, casting eerie shadows as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminated the night around ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, Thorn Nightshade melted into the darkness, and Soraya Stormweaver's eyes glowed with hidden knowledge. Kalamajan Prompt amidst a desolate wasteland under a blood-red moon. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminates ancient stones, while Elysia Stormheart channels storm energy through her staff. Thorn Nightshade melds into shadows beside Soraya Stormweaver, whose eyes gleam with hidden knowledge. Kalar Nightblaze's dancing flames cast menacing shadows, and Lyra Frostwhisper floats calmly amidst swirling snowflakes. The ancient stones glowed under the blood-red moon as Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the wasteland, her ethereal presence soothing even the tense warriors gathered around. "We must find a way to unite our strengths," she said, her eyes scanning the faces of her companions, each with their own burdens and secrets. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she nodded in agreement, the air swirling around them. The moon hung low, casting eerie shadows across the wasteland where Mira Silversong's voice resonated softly. "Together, we face what lies ahead." Elysia Stormheart added ominously, "Change will come with these stones' power," her staff crackling ominously. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the darkness, his form barely distinguishable. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a silver bell. "The stones hold ancient secrets waiting for us to unlock them." Elysia Stormheart nodded, her staff crackling with lightning as she prepared to channel the elemental forces at their command. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, blending seamlessly with the night while keeping watch. As Mira Silversong sang her melodic incantations, the air seemed to shimmer around her, weaving a protective barrier for the gathering heroes against unseen threat. "We must uncover what lies beneath these stones," Soraya Stormweaver whispered, her eyes locked on an ancient rune etched into one of the boulders, glowing faintly with inner light. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside them, his presence both comforting and daunting in equal measure. Mira Silversong's voice lifted into a melodic whisper. "We stand at the crossroads of destiny." Her eyes glowed softly, casting an ethereal light over Elysia Stormheart, whose staff sparked with lightning in preparation for any storm that might brew. Thorn Nightshade slipped silently from shadow to shadow, ever watchful and ready. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones bathed in an eerie light. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she surveyed their surroundings, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows around them. "The time has come," Mira intoned softly, her voice carrying a weight of impending destiny. The night was draped in a deep crimson hue as the heroes assembled around ancient stones that glowed with an ethereal light. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the wasteland, soothing their weary spirits with her enchanting melodies. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, casting eerie shadows on the barren landscape. The blood-red moon cast an eerie glow over the barren wasteland as Mira Silversong's ethereal voice began to weave a protective enchantment around our weary group. "Blessings of the Ancient Ones upon us all," she intoned, her words echoing through the night. Thorn Nightshade moved silently beside me, his presence a silent reminder of the darkness that lurked beyond our circle of light. The blood-red moon cast an eerie glow over the desolate wasteland where Mira Silversong's voice could be heard softly singing, "In this darkness, light shall rise." Thorn Nightshade moved silently among the shadows, his eyes never leaving Elysia Stormheart as she chanted incantations to call forth lightning from the storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Soraya Stormweaver stood quietly, her gaze locked onto ancient runes etched into the stones, her lips moving in whispered words of forgotten languages. Mira Silversong's voice filled the air with a soothing melody as she sang, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones bathed in an otherworldly light. Thorn Nightshade moved silently through the shadows, his presence both menacing and mysterious, while Elysia Stormheart stood tall, lightning dancing around her staff like living threads of power. Around them, the wasteland under a blood-red moon seemed to pulse with hidden magic. Mira Silversong's voice crackles with power as she speaks. "Let us gather our strength. Tonight we face a foe ancient and unforgiving." Thorn Nightshade nods silently, his eyes reflecting the flickering flames of Kalar Nightblaze's pyre. Draven Frostborn's icy gaze scans the group, ensuring everyone is prepared for what lies ahead. The wasteland was silent, except for the occasional whisper of the wind carrying secrets from ancient times. Mira Silversong's voice broke the silence, her melodious tones resonating with a power that could heal even the deepest wounds. "We must find the ley line's convergence. There lies our path forward," she declared, her eyes gleaming with resolve. The desolate wasteland stretches endlessly under a blood-red moon, the ancient stones bathed in an ethereal light that seems to beckon from another realm. Mira Silversong's voice rings out like silver bells, her glow piercing through the darkness as she sings a healing melody for the weary heroes. "This is where our destiny lies," Elysia Stormheart declares, her staff crackling with lightning and casting jagged shadows around them. Mira Silversong's voice sang softly into the night as she strummed her harp, its melodies weaving a protective shield around us all. "We must find the ley line nexus to unlock the secrets of this wasteland," Elysia Stormheart declared, lightning dancing along the tip of her staff in emphasis. Thorn Nightshade shifted slightly, eyes narrowing as he scanned the shadows for any sign of unseen threats. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the desolate wasteland as she sang a healing melody, her ethereal presence calming even the winds. Elysia Stormheart stood nearby, her staff crackling with lightning, ready to unleash its wrath should danger arise. Thorn Nightshade blended into the shadows, his eyes gleaming with a determination that belied the darkness of his past. Elysia Stormheart's voice trembled with urgency as she declared, "We must prepare for what lies ahead. The signs are clear, the storm is coming." Mira Silversong's soothing melodies filled the air, offering a balm to the tension. Talos Ironclaw circled overhead, his eagle's keen eyes scanning their surroundings. The ancient stones pulse with a haunting energy, their surfaces etched with runes that whisper tales of forgotten lore. "We must decipher these symbols," Zephyr Shadowstorm declares, his voice steady yet tinged with urgency as he studies the inscriptions intently. Thorn Nightshade slips into the shadows nearby, silent and watchful. The night was a canvas painted red by the blood moon, hanging high above the desolate wasteland, casting long shadows over ancient stones. Mira Silversong's ethereal glow illuminated the group as they gathered around the relics, her voice echoing softly with an otherworldly melody, that seemed to calm even the most restless spirits. Thorn Nightshade melted into the darkness, blending seamlessly with the shadows, while Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously, lightning arcing between her fingers. Mira Silversong's voice rang out like a bell under the blood-red moon, her words a soothing balm for the weary souls gathered around the ancient stones. Let us find our path forward in the light of these relics. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she added, "We must unravel the secrets here before it is too late." While Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, his presence both calming and unsettling. The wind howled like a hungry beast as Mira Silversong sang softly, her voice cutting through the cold with warmth. "We must be cautious," Elysia Stormheart warned, her eyes scanning the desolate wasteland for any sign of danger. The ancient stones glowed faintly under the blood-red moon, casting eerie shadows and highlighting the tension among the gathered heroes. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland as she sang a haunting melody that seemed to calm even the most turbulent spirits. "The stones hold secrets older than time itself," Elysia Stormheart said, her eyes narrowing as lightning crackled around her staff. Thorn Nightshade remained silent, his presence felt only by the shadows that danced around him. Mira Silversong's voice broke through the silence of the night, her words like a balm for weary souls. "We stand on sacred ground, where ancient spirits watch over us," Elysia Stormheart added with a flicker of lightning from her staff. "Our powers are but echoes of the magic that once thrived here." Thorn Nightshade silently observed, his presence both reassuring and foreboding. The desolate wasteland was bathed in a crimson glow, as the blood-red moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie light on ancient stones surrounded by a group of heroes. Mira Silversong's ethereal presence illuminated the night with her radiant aura, while Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously with bolts of lightning. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his dark silhouette barely visible against the moonlit wasteland. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the desolate wasteland as she sang a soothing melody, her ethereal presence calming even the fiercest warriors around her. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows like a whisper, his dark form melding seamlessly with the night, while Elysia Stormheart stood tall and proud, her staff crackling ominously with pent-up power. The ancient stones bathed in ethereal light cast long shadows, as if the land itself was watching us. Mira Silversong's voice broke the silence as she said, "We must stand together if we hope to unravel the secrets of these ancient stones." Elysia Stormheart nodded, her staff crackling ominously with lightning bolts as she added, "And we must be prepared for whatever lies ahead." Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, his presence both reassuring and foreboding. Mira Silversong's voice rose above the whispers of the wasteland, her melodies weaving through the air like threads of light. "The stones hold the key to our destiny, but we must first find harmony within ourselves." Elysia Stormheart's eyes sparkled with a stormy intensity as she scanned the horizon, her staff crackling ominously. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his presence both comforting and daunting. The blood-red moon cast an eerie glow over the desolate wasteland, its light illuminating a gathering of heroes around ancient stones, radiating with ethereal power. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she stood protectively beside Mira Silversong, whose soothing melodies filled the air, healing wounds and calming spirits alike. Traven Frostborn towered over others, his icy touch commanding respect, while Roarin fists bled yet healed instantly, a testament to inner turmoil. Mira Silversong's voice resonates like a soothing balm amidst gathering tension, her words calming even as shadows creep closer. Thorn Nightshade glances nervously around, his hand resting lightly on his dagger's hilt, "Watch your back," he murmurs to no one in particular. Kalar night blazes flames flicker ominously, casting eerie shadows that dance along the ancient stones. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the silence like a soothing balm. "We stand on the threshold of destiny, my friends." Elysia Stormheart's eyes flared with stormy intensity as she adjusted her grip on her staff, muttering to herself about impending changes. Thorn Nightshade shifted silently into the shadows, his presence both comforting and foreboding. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the desolate wasteland as she sang a soothing melody under the blood-red moon, her ethereal glow casting an otherworldly light on the ancient stones. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, the thunder echoing off distant mountains, while Thorn Nightshade blended seamlessly into the shadows, his presence both comforting and foreboding. "We must uncover what lies beneath these stones," Soraya Stormweaver said, her eyes sparkling with hidden knowledge as she studied the runes etched into the ground. Mira Silversong's voice echoed softly across the wasteland under the blood-red moon, her song a soothing balm for weary hearts. "We must find the heart of this darkness," Thorn Nightshade whispered from the shadows, his eyes flickering with determination. Draven Frostborn stood guard near Roran Bloodfist, whose fists touched the ground as if summoning strength from ancient stones. Mira Silversong's voice resonated softly through the gathering mist, her ethereal melodies weaving a protective aura around the assembled heroes. "Together, we stand as guardians of this realm," she proclaimed, her eyes locking with each individual present. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning crackling ominously from her staff. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the silent wasteland, her ethereal melody weaving a protective barrier around the group as they huddled near the ancient stones, glowing under an eerie light. Thorn Nightshade moved like a ghost, his dark form blending seamlessly into the shadows that crept across the barren landscape, while Elysia Stormheart's eyes flickered with lightning as she gazed at the runes etched into the stones. "This is where it all begins," Soraya Stormweaver murmured, her gaze unyielding. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the desolate wasteland under a blood-red moon, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones they had gathered around. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, his presence as silent and menacing as the encroaching darkness, while Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning, casting eerie patterns of light and shadow across the group. Soraya Stormweaver's eyes gleamed with an unsettling wisdom that hinted at secrets untold. The desolate wasteland churns beneath a crimson moon as Mira Silversong's voice rings out like silver bells, her glow cutting through the darkness. "We must unite our strengths to face what lies ahead," she declares confidently, her eyes meeting each hero's in turn. Elysia Stormheart nods solemnly, lightning dancing around her staff. The blood-red moon hung low over the desolate wasteland, casting an eerie glow on ancient stones that seemed to pulse with hidden magic. Mira Silversong's ethereal presence illuminated the gathering, her voice a soothing melody amidst the tension. "We must uncover what lies beneath these stones before dawn," she declared, her eyes scanning the faces of her companions. Mira Silversong's ethereal voice rings out softly as she begins a song of ancient protection, her melody weaving through the howling winds. "We must be vigilant. This gathering spot was chosen for its power and secrecy." Elysia Stormheart intones, her eyes fixed on an approaching storm cloud that seems to mirror her own inner turmoil. Thorn Nightshade moves silently among them, his presence a stark reminder of the shadows they carry within. The night air was thick with tension as Mira Silversong sang a haunting melody, her voice weaving through the wind like silken threads. "We must be ready for whatever lies ahead," Thorn Nightshade whispered from the shadows, his eyes fixed on the ancient stones that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. Soraya Stormweaver nodded solemnly, her gaze unwavering as she stared into the depths of time through her mystical eyes. The blood-red moon hung low over a desolate wasteland, casting an eerie glow upon ancient stones bathed in ethereal light. Mira Silversong's voice rose like a silver clarion call, her melodies healing the weary souls around her as Thorn Nightshade melded into shadows nearby. "We must find what lies beneath these stones," Soraya Stormweaver whispered urgently, eyes gleaming with hidden knowledge. Elysia Stormheart's eyes narrowed as she surveyed the desolate wasteland under the blood-red moon, her staff crackling ominously with lightning bolts. "We must tread carefully here," she warned, her voice cutting through the eerie stillness like a sharp blade. Thorn Nightshade nodded silently from the shadows, his presence both reassuring and unsettling. The night was thick with magic as Mira Silversong began to play her harp, healing wounds and soothing souls alike. Her melodies wove through the air like threads of light, crisscrossing with Elysia Stormheart's crackling, lightning, and Kaler Nightblaze's flickering flames. "We must be ready for what lies ahead," Thorn Nightshade whispered, his voice barely audible yet resonant in the eerie silence. Mira Silversong's voice was a soothing balm as she sang softly, her ethereal melody weaving through the night air like moonlight on water. "We must tread carefully here," Thorn Nightshade whispered, his dark form blending into the shadows even as he spoke, his eyes never leaving Mortem Vortex's ominous presence. Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled with lightning as she prepared to unleash her storm magic if necessary. The ancient stones glimmer with a mystical energy as Mira Silversong's ethereal glow casts intricate shadows around the gathered heroes. "We must uncover what lies beneath these stones," she whispers, her voice echoing across the desolate wasteland under the blood rune. Thorn Nightshade moves silently beside her, his presence both comforting and foreboding. Mira Silversong's voice rang through the silent wasteland. "Let us gather our strength and face whatever trials lie ahead with courage." Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows beside her, while Elysia Stormheart's staff crackled ominously with electricity. Draven Frostborn stood vigilant, his icy touch a stark contrast to Kaler Nightblaze's fiery flames dancing nearby. Mira Silversong's voice resonated through the desolate wasteland, her words weaving a melody of hope and unity as she addressed the gathered heroes. "Together we stand against the darkness that threatens our world," she declared, her ethereal glow illuminating the faces of those around her. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, lightning dancing at her fingertips. The ancient stones glimmer with an ethereal light under the blood-red moon, casting long shadows across the desolate wasteland as Mira Silversong's voice rings out. "We gather here not just to confront our enemies, but also to understand ourselves." Thorn Nightshade moves silently into the darkness, his form barely visible even to those closest to him. Elysia Stormheart stands tall with her staff crackling ominously in anticipation of the battle ahead. Mira Silversong's voice rose like a soothing balm above the howling wind, her ethereal melody weaving through the gathering darkness. "We must tread carefully here, for this place whispers of old magic and ancient dangers," she warned, her eyes scanning the horizon with an otherworldly clarity. Elysia Stormheart nodded solemnly, her staff crackling with electric blue energy as she prepared to defend their vulnerable positions. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the eerie silence as she sang a song of healing and unity, her ethereal presence illuminating the ancient stones with an otherworldly glow. Thorn Nightshade watched from the shadows, his dark past weighing on him as he sought redemption among his companions. "This is where our destinies will be shaped," Elysia Stormheart declared, lightning arcing around her staff as she faced the unknown dangers ahead. The blood-red moon hung ominously overhead as Mira Silversong sang a haunting melody, her voice weaving through the night air like a silver thread. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into position beside Elysia Stormheart, his presence both reassuring and foreboding as she prepared to summon an elemental wind. "We must be cautious," Soraya Stormweaver whispered urgently, her eyes scanning the horizon with unease. Mira Silversong's voice cut through the night air, her ethereal melody weaving a protective shield around us as we stood amidst ancient stones, bathed in ethereal light. Thorn Nightshade whispered silently to me from the shadows, his presence both comforting and daunting, while Soraya Stormweaver's eyes gleamed with secrets she held close. The desolate wasteland seemed to pulse under the blood-red moon's gaze. The wasteland under the blood-red moon was a place of ancient power and looming danger, its desolate beauty stark against the ethereal glow emanating from Mira Silversong's voice and Elysia Stormheart's crackling staff. Thorn Nightshade blended seamlessly into the shadows while Soraya Stormweaver's eyes reflected secrets long buried by time. "This is where our destinies converge," Talus Ironclaw declared, his eagle circling overhead. Mira Silversong's voice echoed across the desolate wasteland as she sang a song of healing, her ethereal melody weaving through the air like a soothing balm. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, staff crackling with lightning, her eyes locked on distant horizons where storm clouds were gathering ominously. Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows, his presence both comforting and foreboding. Mira Silversong's voice broke the silence, her melodies weaving through the air like silver threads. "Our journey has led us here, where ancient magic calls out to those brave enough to listen." Elysia Stormheart's eyes flashed with determination as she stood beside Mira, her staff crackling ominously. Thorn Nightshade moved silently in the shadows, his presence a reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath their unity. The night air was thick with tension as Mira Silversong's soothing voice filled the void, her melody a balm for weary souls. "We must remain united if we are to survive what lies ahead," she sang softly, her words echoing around the ancient stones that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows, his eyes narrowing as he scanned their surroundings for any sign of danger. The blood-red moon casts an eerie glow over the desolate wasteland as the heroes gather around ancient stones that shimmer with ethereal light. Mira Silversong's voice resonates through the night, healing and inspiring them all. "We must unite our strength," she declares, her eyes locking onto each member of the group. Mira Silversong's voice echoed through the wasteland, her words a soothing balm amidst the desolation. "Together, we shall uncover the secrets bound within these stones." Elysia Stormheart's eyes glowed with an inner light as she added, "And we will harness the raw power of nature to aid us." Thorn Nightshade moved silently among them, his presence both comforting and foreboding. Mira Silversong's voice trembled slightly as she sang an ancient melody, her ethereal notes weaving through the wind like a balm for weary souls. Elysia Stormheart stood beside her, her staff crackling with blue lightning that flickered off the stones bathed in ethereal light. Thorn Nightshade moved silently into the shadows, his presence both comforting and foreboding as he observed from the darkness. Mira Silversong's voice rings out like silver bells. "Let our unity here tonight be a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness." Elysia Stormheart's eyes flash as she mutters to herself, her staff crackling ominously with each word. Thorn Nightshade shifts silently from shadow to shadow, his presence both reassuring and unsettling. The moon hung low over the desolate wasteland, as the heroes gathered around ancient stones, bathed in ethereal light, their collective energy swirling like a tempest. "We must find the heart of this mystery," Elysia Stormheart declared, her staff crackling with lightning as she scanned the runes etched into the stones. Thorn Nightshade slipped into the shadows nearby, eyes glinting with hidden intentions. Mira Silversong's voice filled the air with melodies of healing as she sang softly, her ethereal glow illuminating the ancient stones bathed in a spectral light. Elysia Stormheart stood beside Mira, her staff crackling ominously as lightning danced around it, while Thorn Nightshade melted into the shadows behind them. "We must be ready for anything tonight," Thorn whispered, his voice barely audible even to those closest. Mira Silversong's voice echoes across the desolate wasteland, her ethereal melody weaving through the chilling winds like a soothing balm for weary souls. "The stones hold ancient secrets," she whispers to Thorn Nightshade, as he melds into the shadows, his eyes reflecting the flickering flames of Kalar Nightblaze nearby. Elysia Stormheart stands tall with her staff crackling ominously, her presence commanding respect and fear. Mira Silversong's voice cuts through the eerie silence of the wasteland, her melodies weaving a protective barrier around the group as they huddle near ancient stones glowing with ethereal light. "We must be cautious," she warned softly.